with me before we begin into the topics and I start sharing the insight and certain tips and tricks about how to face them. I will be sharing just a little, a piece of advice before we go ahead. Okay, for that, I would need ma'am uh, for you to make me the host. So I need to share a screen here. Just let me know, ma'am, whenever I'm the host. I'm still not the host. Anyway, till the time that happens, I think a lot of you guys, apart from Nift, have also given NID. हाँ? या फिर आप लोगों ने UCP दिया होगा. So the preparation has gone through and through. आपका जो drawing से related, आपका creative thinking से related. Now there is few difference compared to your preparation for NID.
You are the host now, sir.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. So yeah, there are a few difference compared to what we had in NID. Okay, the main difference is color. One of the main difference is color. So मतलब वहाँ पे आप जैसे कि आप लोगों ने देखा होगा 4 क्वेश्चन आए थे आपने प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस में देखे होंगे NID के color is not very important, but in NIFT you will have questions very much specific to color. So it's very important for you guys to take care of your color theory ka ek understanding. All right, in the previous session I'm pretty sure ma'am has covered all that you guys need to understand the different meanings of certain colors and how to apply them in a certain type of question jisme aapko colors use karna hai. But apart from that, even if your scene composition comes or your poster design comes related to communication design, the only difference here is in NIFT they expect you to make it pretty. Okay, they expect you to make it presentable a little more compared to what we had in NID. ज़्यादा कुछ ऐसा कुछ ज़्यादा difference नहीं है. All right. So anyway, before we begin with topics, all right, I want to talk about something which is very important but not much discussed about, and I feel like it is a very important thing to keep in mind as you are attempting these creative exams and also your aspiration to become a designer. What does it mean? Like why and how, why to first of all even worry about this entrance exam? I mean, I know you want to be in these national institutes, right? But apart from that, what is the mindset? That is one thing which I want to clear up, right? And then we can go into your topics, specific topics. I'm sharing the screen, guys. Let me know if you guys can see the shared screen.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay, guys. So here, like I said, I'm talking about the mindset, right? The mindset needed to attempt these creative exams. Now, I'm just not talking about NIFT. I'm talking about your aspiration to become a creative professional, a designer. Okay? So the first thing I want to clear out when it comes to your mindset is the first idea which I want you guys to have an understanding on is that जो ideas हैं, they are overrated. I'll elaborate more on that. Like, what do I mean by ideas are overrated? मतलब see, अब आप यहाँ पे आप लोगों ने classes में you must have attended a lot of mock test also. आप लोगों ने previous के questions भी attempt किए होंगे. And one query comes is like how to make things unique, right? How to make things अलग से, मतलब compare to किसी मतलब वहाँ पे जितने 5,000 10,000 जितने भी students हैं, aspirants हैं, उनसे अलग कैसे बनाएं? Now that is a very interesting approach and it is needed, but too much importance given to ideas is not a very healthy practice for a creative professional, for a creative aspirant like you guys. Unique बनाने के चक्कर में we miss out on the most important thing, and that is presentation, execution of your ideas. That is more important actually right now, because uh, in the college, right, you will be learning, all that to make things interesting, unique, the whole process. वो college में आप सीखोगे. So ideas, yes, good ideas, interesting ideas are necessary, but too much emphasis given on being unique. Unique बनने के चक्कर में आप execution को अगर आप भूल जाओगे, यार अभी feel नहीं आ रहा, अभी मन नहीं कर रहा, अभी ये नहीं हो रहा, that kind of एक attitude रहता है, जो भी थोड़े से जो creative फील्ड में जाने के सोच रहे होते हैं, उनका थोड़ा सा एक एटीट्यूड ऐसा रहता है, मन नहीं हो रहा, फील नहीं आ रहा. सो उस चीज को आप, इट्स बेटर इफ यू डोंट लिसन टू दैट वॉइस, because ideas, like I said, it's overrated. It's all about execution. And in terms of your CAT, creative aptitude test, it's about presentation. So your drawing needs to be clear, your line quality needs to be clear. आप जो बना रहे हो, अगर आपके दिमाग में आइडिया आया, यू नो हाथी बनाने का, right, you want to make an elephant in your, let's say, in your mascot or in some storyboarding, and वो हाथी 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 नहीं लग रहा, जिराफ लग रहा है, तो वहां पे फिर गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. राइट, सो दैट्स व्हाई, ठीक है, आइडियाज फाइन, यूनिक होना चाहिए, होगा नहीं होगा, मे बी 10 लोगों के आइडियाज सेम हो जाएंगे, बट इफ यू फोकस ऑन प्रेजेंटेशन एंड योर प्रेजेंटेशन इज गुड. बाय प्रेजेंटेशन आई डोंट पर्टिकुलरली मीन कि आपका ड्राइंग स्किल एकदम बेस्ट होना चाहिए. I'm not really talking about that. By presentation, I mean like your lines should be clear. ऐसा नहीं कि वहाँ पे आपने एकदम blunt pencil से बना दिया. Right, your line qualities needs to be clear. So एक clear representation जब होता है, उससे भी आपके जो एक scope है for a good marks, for a better marks, it goes up. So don't focus so much on being unique. All right, don't focus on being so unique. Focus on execution. Now, unique वाला जो एक idea जो आता है, उसका मैं, what I say for that, like, okay, what I tell them is don't try to be unique. And don't copy. यूनिक होने का ट्राई मत करो एंड कॉपी मत करो. सो क्या करना है आपको, फिर आपको इम्प्रोवाइज करना है. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल, आई एम जस्ट गोना टेक एन एग्जांपल ऑफ, जिन्होंने एनआईडी का पेपर दिया होगा उनको ये क्वेश्चन पता होगा, बट लेट्स से इट वाज अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग वाला क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज आल्सो रेलेवेंट टू योर निफ्ट. and there the situation was, how will you tackle the problem of littering? जो कूड़ा कपड़ा जो फैलाते हैं, है ना, हम लोग, उसको हम लिमिट, उसको कम कैसे करें. राइट, नाउ द फर्स्ट solution which will come in your mind is to make, okay, ठीक है, डस्टबिन रख देते हैं, है ना, but then the second thought which will come in your mind, or must have come in your mind, is like, okay, डस्टबिन तो सब लोग सोचेंगे, तो इसको छोड़ देते हैं. वो नहीं सोचना है, वैसे नहीं सोचना है. राइट, ठीक है, डस्टबिन बनाना है, बट नाउ एग्जैक्टली डस्टबिन नहीं बनाएंगे. सो लेट्स से इफ यू आर, प्लीज पे अटेंशन हियर, लेट्स से इफ यू आर मेकिंग a corner का आपने कुछ एक आइडिया किया, and you are thinking, you have thought that you will make a dustbin itself. Okay, you will be putting dustbin in a public space, right? And let's say I'm going with a very simple form here. I'm going with dustbin only. But let's say I gamify it. What I'm going to do with this particular dustbin was, I'm going to change the form of it. But let's say, as one of the solution, इसके साथ मैं क्या करूँगा? I'm going to add every time someone puts like, वो जो भी garbage है उनका, instead of throwing away, they throw it inside the dustbin, there will be a sound, a very pleasant sound. Maybe we can have the dustbins say, thank you for being something, like a very positive message. right? So yes, हमने डस्टबिन के आइडिया को डिच नहीं किया just by thinking कि it is going to be very common. That's not the right way to go about it. हमने डस्टबिन के आइडिया को रखा, but now what we did, we improvised it. ठीक है? So जो obvious ideas है उनको डिच मत कीजिए, alright? यूनिक होने का ज्यादा ट्राई मत कीजिए. जो आइडियाज आ रहे हैं, यस रखो उसको, उसी को फिर देखिए आप कि क्या ऐड कर सकते हो. नाउ दिस आइडिया इज यूनिकली माइन given the context. Dustbin which gives a message every time you're putting it. It's a little exaggerated, I understand, but you have to show your creative solutions. So practical hai, zyada practical hai nahi hai, but I think this technology is not so uh, over not so over the boundary. It is doable, right? So we have the dustbin which also using audio says a very positive message, so that will be an encouraging factor. So I didn't touch the idea of dustbin and I kept it, right? So don't focus so much on uniqueness. Keep this thing in mind, right? जो common ideas भी आते हैं लीजिए, कोई बात नहीं, but add something to it. So don't try to be unique and do not copy, right? Improvise कीजिए, add your own thing. So that's the first very important factor to keep in mind for your, for tackling, for facing creative questions. Improvise. All right. Don't try to be unique. Don't copy also. Right. जो भी देखा, जो भी आपको याद है या फिर जो भी आइडिया आ रहा है, improvise कीजिए उसमें. Make it your own. Mix and match things to make it interesting. ठीक है? So that's the first point. I hope things are clear. Now moving forward, there are 3 points here. The second point which I want to emphasize on is it's something very a very personal message of mine to all my students, is that design exams, they are not an ultimatum कि अगर इसके थ्रू ही आप डिजाइनर बन सकते हो. अगर आपने निफ्ट का एग्जाम क्लियर कर दिया तभी आप डिजाइनर. अगर आपने एनआईडी का एग्जाम कर लिया, अगर आप एनआईडीएन बन गए तभी आप डिजाइनर. Your goal is to be a designer, not just a name tag, carry a name tag of an institute. So don't limit yourself in that bracket. Now, why I'm sharing this is because a lot of aspirants, they get stressed out, they get worried, which is related to my third point here. But they just think this is everything. NID नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ, कुछ भी नहीं, मैं डिजाइनर नहीं बन सकता फिर. Right? And that's not the case. That's not how to look at these things. This creative exams, that's not the way to go about it, guys. Okay, so keep this thing in mind. Yeah, becoming a designer, becoming a creative professional, or becoming an artist, whatever, it's a journey. Okay, it's a journey. It's a personal journey. Yes, having a degree, being in these really good NIFT, NID, IIT, in these colleges is really good. Right? It's good for your CV, for your resume. But ultimately, I'm telling you from my experience, ultimately, becoming a designer is a journey. And end में जाके वो आपका डिग्री काम नहीं आता, आपका portfolio काम आएगा. Basically, your proof of work, your knowledge, what do you have, what you have created, what you have made so far. Right? So that's why don't stress yourself out. Yes, make sure you do your best. Right? You have taken up this challenge and it's a very worthy challenge. It's a good challenge. But thinking of it like, okay, this is the only way. That's the उस तरीके से खुद को push करना in a negative way is not a healthy practice. Okay, so just keep this thing in mind. Design exams, creative exams of all kinds is not an ultimatum. All right, okay? It's your own personal journey. Now, that personal journey will be great if you guys become an IDN or Niftian, but uske baad bhi, even if when you're in college, it will be a process, it will be a journey, and you have to discover it for yourself. Okay, so trust the process, enjoy the process of this, take it like an experience, like an event. जो आप CAT exam देने जा रहे हो, take it like an event, like it's an event, it's like a checkpoint. But that's not it. There is more to it to become a designer. So keep that thing in mind, right? And that brings me to the last point of these mindsets I'm talking about is to have fun and stay hydrated. Now, basically, what I'm trying to say here is, अगर आप ज़्यादा खुद को stress out करोगे, then the chances of your ideas coming out naturally will go less, because creativity doesn't work under force, right? It doesn't happen when you try to push it. It doesn't work like that. It's not exactly like how we imagine sports or how we know sports, right? So do not stress yourself out. Yeah, enjoy, have fun, right? Obviously, you have to be focused, okay? But stressing unnecessarily is not the way to create, new things, to create designs, illustrations. All right. So have fun and stay hydrated, because if you're happy and healthy, then creativity thrives. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. These 3 pointers, very important, right? First thing, don't get obsessed over being unique. Yeah. Second, do not think that this is the ultimatum. Ye nahi to kuch nahi. Do not have that kind of a mindset. And third, have fun. Trust the process. Have fun in this journey of you becoming a designer. That way you will be able to see more if you're having fun. Having fun ऐसा नहीं कि like carelessly. By having fun, I'm not saying I just be laid back. That's not fun. Fun is when you're curious. Fun is when you're inquiring, when you're investigating, when you're chasing something. So there is two ways to chase it. One is like, you're having fun as you're moving forward. And then the second way is like you're just beating yourself up. And yes, that will also be a journey, but it won't be a very pleasant one. Okay? So keep these 3 pointers in mind, right? And with that, I'm gonna move on to the second part of our presentation, where we'll be discussing the topics. If there is any question, anything you want to add on or just inquire about these pointers, please go ahead, guys. Anyone? No inquiries? 100 students, no inquiries? Okay, that's interesting. Did everybody got it? Did everybody get what I'm trying to share here?
Yes, sir.
Guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. That's
Yes, sir.
Take it. All right, guys, so let's move on to something which is a bit more serious here. Now, these are some of the primary topics, right? Very repeated topics for Nift. Right now, we will be going through each topic and I'll be sharing examples of each topic. But see, this is, you have to keep in mind, ठीक है? एक उनका जो आपको जो एग्जामिनर है, जो पे पेपर बना रहे हैं, उनका थोड़ा सा आपको इंटेंशन भी समझना है. Very rarely they will give you a very straightforward question. ठीक है, आपने स्टोरी बोर्डिंग किया, आपने बहुत सारे स्टोरी बोर्ड्स बनाए एंड आपने रट लिया है, बट वहां पे फिर आपको कुछ और ही पूछ लिया उन्होंने. आई मीन, अब आपने स्टोरी बोर्ड बनाया यूजिंग स्टोरी, आपको स्टोरी दिया है, आपने वैसे 10 स्टोरी बोर्ड्स बनाए, स्टोरी पढ़ा हुआ है, एक पैराग्राफ दिया हुआ है और वैसा आपने 10 स्टोरी बोर्ड प्रैक्टिस कर लिया उसी स्टाइल में, ठीक है. बट देन उसके बाद क्या हुआ, वहां पे आपको स्टोरी नहीं दिया एग्जाम में, बट वहां पे आपको एक सिचुएशन दे दिया, जैसे कि कोई भी रैंडम सिचुएशन, जैसे बाय से फ्रॉम प्रीवियस ईयर. एक एग्जांपल अगर मैं क्वेश्चन की बात करूं, सो द क्वेश्चन वाज योर विजिट टू मार्स, विजिटिंग द प्लैनेट मार्स. सिचुएशन दे दिया आपको, कुछ नहीं कहा वहां पे, स्टोरी नहीं दिया है, एंड आपने पहले स्टोरी के साथ पूरा स्टोरी बोर्डिंग आपने प्रैक्टिस कर लिया. Now, my point here is expect the unexpected and not in a nervous way, like in a very excited. But they will try to test your creativity, guys. Okay? So storyboard का हम discuss करेंगे, comic strip का discuss करेंगे, poster design, all those things. But they will twist it around. They will mix and match topics. जैसे मैंने आपको आपने practice किया story को पढ़ के, and then वहाँ पे story नहीं दिया, storyboard करना है आपको, but वहाँ पे instead of story they gave you a situation, right? So that can be tricky. आपने तो story के साथ storyboarding practice किया था, and that is completely fine. Storyboarding वैसे होता है, पहले story आता है, उसके बाद storyboard होता है, but यहाँ पे तो इन्होंने कुछ और ही दे दिया आपको. They put you in a very different situation, right? So this is something just I want you guys to keep in mind. Expect the unexpected, have an open mind. That's why uh, uh, um, having that curious and fun nature, not like fun like don't need to be smiling all the time. Like a curious nature is very important, because they will do something like that, at least with one or two questions. जिसमें कि it won't be something आपने जो आपके mentors ने बताया हो, as in like जो आपको syllabus से cover कराया होगा. ठीक है, they will mix and match things, so just keep that thing in mind. ठीक है, so उसी sense से I will be sharing doing sharing certain demos of these topics कि किस तरीके से आप इसको अच्छे से आप face कर सकते हो. ठीक है, now so I'll just keep this thing. You guys can take a screenshot of this if you guys want to. Okay, you can just keep it with you. Anyway, regardless. So now moving forward, let's start with storyboarding. But उससे भी एक step back ले लेते हैं. Okay, what is it? Where does storyboarding comes into this? A very important topic, right, for all the creative exams, except for usage जिसमें नहीं होता है. But even there, even there, those who did preparation for UCID with me, even there, like there was one thing which I used to say is like, maybe you can think of a story and then make that composition. But anyway, we're talking about storyboard here. So story, let's take a step back from this. Now, what does storyboard mean? Storyboard is basically a part of a process of filmmaking. So पहले आपके पास स्टोरी होता है which we call script, and उस स्क्रिप्ट के बेसिस पे आप स्टोरी बोर्ड बनाते हो, जो कि शॉर्ट्स बनाते हैं कि इस शॉट से शूट होगा मेन हीरो, फिर इस शॉट से हीरोइन का शूट होगा, देन इस शॉट से दोनों एक साथ हम दिखाएंगे कि कैसे शायद उन्होंने हाथ पकड़ा हुआ है, right? So storyboard is basically a visualization of that story for making a film. So the mindset you need to have for attempting storyboard is to think of it like, you are going to make a film. And I'm pretty sure nobody is here जिन्होंने life में एक भी film नहीं देखा हो, right? At least एक दो तो देखा ही होगा अभी तक. So think of the shots. It's never stagnant. It's always, moving. You zoom in to the main protagonist's expression, then you zoom out and show the whole scene, right? You get an understanding, you feel like you're a part of that story. So usi cheez ko we will try in a very simple way. Okay? You don't have to worry so much about, oh god, कुछ ज़्यादा complex है. Let's make it very simple. In a very simple way, same thing, right? But now we will be using in our storyboard. Now one limitation जो कि आपको मिलता है is that there is a number of frame. ठीक है, आपका एक certain amount of frame is there, right? That certain amount of framing, जैसे कि for example number of frames 4 या फिर 3, okay, या तो फिर maybe 5, but usually it's 4 for your Nift. Okay, and then from there you move forward and then you go about maybe 3. So you have a limitation of frame. Okay, so how to approach it? And one thing which Nift exam people do, okay, one thing which Nift exam people do is they don't give you a complete. More often than not, they give you a situation. शायद प्रीवियस ईयर के पेपर्स देख लीजिए, देखा होगा आप लोगों ने, मॉडल में है हमारे पहल के. सो they don't give you a story like in NID. What happens in other creative exams? They give you a story, right, and then a scenario. यहाँ पे आपको एक scenario, mostly एक scenario दिया जाता है. So we will take an example and then from there we will go forward. ठीक है? So I will take an example from our previous year question where it said you are a fish. That was the prompt. इसके साथ और भी दो थे. I'm gonna take this and move forward. ठीक है? You are a fish. Now इसमें क्या है? अब सबसे पहले आपको before you even start making something, think 2 minute देखिए. 3 hours you have for 4 questions. 4, 3, sometimes 5, around 4, right? So you have time here to think. You have time here, more time here comparatively to think an idea. But ऐसा भी नहीं कि ज़्यादा आप सोचने लगे, but just give some time to thinking about this scenario. So आपको situation दिया, you are a fish. So think of a story. And story कैसे सोचोगे आप? Story, you think, keep it very simple. But you know, one way to approach this story or a problem is इसमें भी try to solve a problem. Try to solve a problem of you know, what's it like some situation. Create a problem for your own sake to make it interesting. Create a problem and what's it, save it, like you know, and then try to solve that problem. Okay, so we will start from there. So देखिए आपके पास 4 फ्रेम. ठीक है? So जो भी आप प्रॉब्लम सोचोगे, you can just, you don't have to come up with a very grand, एकदम you know, बहुत ही ज़्यादा deep सा story. Keep it very simple. Let the problem be very simple. ठीक है? But we will be playing with the presentation of the president. So you are a fish. Now, first scene we will be showing. First frame में हम क्या दिखाएंगे? Scenario. Where is the story taking place? You can note this down. First frame, where is the story taking place? वो चीज आप establish करोगे आपके story के हिसाब से. ठीक है? And then somewhere in the second and the third frame, you will have your climax. Something will happen. Okay, and in the last frame, obviously it's an ending, and I'll suggest you try not to have a very you know, try to have a very positive ending, like not very positive, but don't keep it negative. Like it can be fun, it can be funny, okay, but don't have a very negative sort of ending in a given situation like this. Okay, try to have a very, not very, but you know, like sort of light-hearted. Anyway, so the scenario which I'm keeping here is, so we have, now you have to understand, you are a fish. So basically, अगर आप एक frame at the very least show it, so this is the scene. So basically, my story goes on telling a fish which is in the aquarium. Okay, and according to my story, the fish is a you know, he doesn't have many friends. All right, he doesn't have many friends. So that is something which I'm going to establish from the first frame. I'm going to include here some fish which is giving them a my character. So this is what I'm making here, guys, is from the perspective of a fish. Now, यहाँ पे you don't have to worry about perspective, the drawing perspective, which we will get to. Here, I'm just showing the view. Okay. So you will have some fishes which are indifferent to our fish here, and he doesn't have much feathers. That's the scenario. So first scene which I'm establishing here is that of an aquarium, and there are some fishes, angry or just bully fishes. Let's say I'm just creating a very typical high school story, but I'm making that into a uh, into an aquarium or a scenario. Okay. Then let's introduce one of the character. A little bit of dialogue here. You're weird. That's what this character is saying. And then we will have some other characters laughing at our main character here. Here I'm also going to introduce a tortoise. Same scenario, little bit of bubbles. Okay, so that's from the perspective of the fish. First frame, we establish the story. He, as in the scenario. कहाँ पे story हो रहा है? कहाँ पे story चल रहा है? Right? That's the first frame. And in the second frame, we are showing, what are we showing? We are kind of making the situation a little more intense. Okay? Now, in the third frame, based on the story, now here will be a little twist. Okay? Here I'm gonna add a twist to the story. So things so in the aquarium, we have this character.
Excuse me, sir.
Ajli.
Sir, the board is not visible properly, so could you please zoom in a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I have to be stable. Is it with everyone, guys? Let me just see.
Yes.
Just a second, please. Take it. Okay, guys, tell me now. I think I've brought it closer. Is it closer? Is it clear now?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. All right, so what I was saying was, ठीक है, aquarium का scene है, and what we have introduced a character here who looks fascinated, ठीक है, and let me add some detail, and she's looking inside the aquarium. So what is happening here is basically my story, in my story. See, you will, more often than not, you will get like each frame, okay, each frame will have a section where you will be also explaining your story. A storyboard question is never without you not writing what is happening in the story. It's not just all visual. So you will have to write also. So what is happening? We first established the scenario in the aquarium. Our main character, who is me in this case, right, is a lonesome, sad character where nobody seems to be friends with him. All right. Then there is this character who seems to be looking in fascination inside the aquarium. So basically, she is the one who is going to be the friend. So now in the last frame, I'm going to give it this very happy Google like ending. And in the last frame, what we are showing, we are going to show that. See, you don't have to give the whole context कि आप इसने यहाँ पे aquarium में fish को खरीद लिया and पता नहीं कहाँ से वो घर पहुंच गए. But basically in the last frame, I'm going to show my main character in a homely aquarium. In this story, I am this goldfish, let's say. And we will have this lady as well in this scene. So when you try to like यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ major problem नहीं था यहाँ पे, but we with an intention, like the intention of the story is like, okay, ठीक है, we want to give a wholesome, happy story. So with that idea, if we go ahead, right, even if it's a very basic layout, ऐसा कुछ हमने detail में story नहीं लिखा. So even with that idea, you can create a nice, wholesome story. So here's this kid who is with her friend. So the whole idea of making your story in a storyboard is to have a, first thing, keep it simple. ज़्यादा कुछ complex नहीं. Keep it simple. But the other thing is also try to make it positive. Okay, with that intention, आपका story, more often than not, but most probable is that it will come out interesting because it's wholesome in that way. So that's the first thing. Have a happy ending, right? Have a happy, positive, and not necessarily happy, but keep it positive. So that was the storytelling all about. Take a problem situation, problematic situation. It can be, in this case, was the problem of the fish being, sad. That was the problem. And we gave him a happy ending. Everybody's with me, guys?
Yes,
ठीक
sir.
है? So
Yes,
storytelling
sir.
को हम इस तरीके से interesting बनाएंगे. That's the first point. Now second point, which is about presentation, how to make it interesting. Or I'm pretty sure this storyboard you can see, you can understand what is happening. I'm also here narrating the story, but one thing which I'm using here to make it intentionally interesting is I am zooming in and zooming out the frames, the scenario. तो मैंने स्टार्टिंग में आपको बताया था स्टोरी बोर्डिंग का मतलब क्या है. यू आर टेलिंग अ स्टोरी बट इन द पर्सपेक्टिव, इन द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, लाइक आप फिल्म देख रहे हो उस तरीके से. एंड वहां पे कोई भी फ्रेम आपका बस एक ही फ्रेम में नहीं चल रहा था. देयर आर टू कैरेक्टर्स, बस चल रहा है, बस वैसे स्टोरी चल रहा है. इट डजंट वर्क लाइक दैट. Okay, so try to make it interesting in this way by zooming in and zooming out. तो यहाँ पे देखिए, ये तो हमारा थोड़ा zoom out हो, right? This is a zoom out sort of a view. I am establishing the scene. First frame you establish the scene. So more often than not, it's a zoom out. More often, but it can be a zoom in into the character also. But in this case, मैंने scene दिखाई कि एक मिनट यहाँ पे, you know, he doesn't have much friend. अब he doesn't have much friend, वो चीज मैंने थोड़ा और emphasize किया by showing some characters, adding a small dialogue. One line dialogue is fine. Don't have a paragraph लंबे लंबे dialogue. अगर इतना ज्यादा dialogue है तो try to even show that visually. ठीक है? But we did that. Now we are zooming in into a face. Right? Face in itself, you know, that's a mysterious face. Right? So we are zooming into it. And then sort of, this is also a zoom in, but a zoom out of the main character. So this zoom in, zoom out, focusing on the eye, focusing on the expression is a very important tip. It's a very crucial thing to make your storyboarding interesting. Like for example, one more example I would like to give. Basically, guys, guys, please mute if you guys don't have anything, any question to ask. Please mute your mic. Yeah, I will check on that. All right. So now let's say one more example I'm talking about here. Okay. So what is happening is, you know, let's say, I hope you guys remember. I mean, I think your class ki students only, they must be knowing this, but I hope you guys remember this scene, right? Like for example, you're showing this very intense scene of, you know, hunting. Like, you know, let's say there is this hunter in a jungle. He's moving around the jungle. So first scene I'm establishing is there is this, you know, keeping it very expressive lines. I'm not adding too much detail in human form here. But yeah, taking care of the proportion is very important. So we have this hunter, and let's add the jungle. Now आपके पास limitation है frames का, right? 4 frame, 3 frame, max 5 frames. So you can't be making, you know, you can't make all the details, but you can definitely show the scenario in an interesting. So basically now मैं यहाँ पे hunter का दिखा रहा हूँ. He's, you know, navigating himself through this very unusual terrain. We have trees, bushes, mud. All right, so we have the scene. Let me add some details over here. Some details for the hunter. Alright, so he's moving in. Okay. Now to make it interesting, I'm talking about zooming in and zooming out, zooming in and zooming out. So that's the first frame, right? He's walking. And then he's trying to be very quiet. But now I'm also going to establish a scenario. So second frame, in my second frame, see, this is a personal method of mine. I really like to zoom in into the whole, eyes. I really like to show the eyes because it's very expressive, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. So this is my second frame, right? मेरा तो इसमें hunter ही नहीं यहाँ पे कोई तक ही दिख रहा है. But I'm establishing the scenario because I'm the storyteller. So keep this thing in mind. Now I'm zooming in into this type, this character, right? Take it. Hunter is probably there to hunt this tiger only. But this particular impression where the eyes looks focused, it shows what? That the tiger is already looking at the hunter. It's already there. He is aware of him already in this particular scenario, in this particular story. Getting it? Now, moving in, this story is also going to be just 4 frames, but I just wanted to talk about this method which I talked about, zoom in and zoom out, zoom in and zoom out to make your story more interesting. This is something which is going to be very crucial to make your see. Without this method also आप storyboarding कर सकते हो, right? अगर आप इसके साथ comfortable नहीं हो उतना, you can go ahead with making your own इस तरीके से scenario. But if you adapt this in your storytelling, right? And यहाँ पे तो आपको और ऐसा नहीं कि आपको हर बार background details भी बनाने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि now you're focusing on the character, right? So this is what makes it interesting. So anyway, so here is the first scenario. This is the first frame. This is the second frame where we use the second character here. All right. Now I'm going to make usually this side on a but we have that, so I'm going to make another one here. Okay. All right. So now इसमें क्या करेंगे हम? I will just show. Again, I'm zooming in into another detail. All right. And here, what I'm showing is he has stepped on something which is creating a sound, a very loud sound. These expression lines we are doing, okay? And the question must be, क्या हम ऐसे लिख सकते हैं? मतलब, this is if there is something which is helping you tell a story. अब ऐसा नहीं कि वहाँ पे आप पूरा कहानी लिख दे रहे हो, फिर कहानी का टाइटल लिख दे रहे हो, it is an expression of sound, crack, squeak, whatever all that sound is, yeah, the horn, the beep beep, all those things, alarm. So you can use these sound words. ठीक है? If you guys are inquiring कि हम ऐसा कर सकते हैं, this is not something out of the rule कि ऐसा नहीं लिख सकते स्टोरी बोर्ड में. Alright, so just keep that in mind. So अब ये obviously boots हैं इनके, तो and jungle में है तो इनको थोड़ा सा dirty कर देंगे. Alright, the next thing we know, let me give this person intelligence. Now you know. I mean, now rest is for guessing. Rest is for the suspense of things, right? अब क्या होगा next frame में? Fifth frame में most probably something will happen, right? There will be some sort of what's it? Not a very happy ending in this case, which I'm talking care of. Yeah, happy ending होना चाहिए. But this is not a very happy ending, but it's a very mystical ending, like okay, suspense, what is gonna happen, right? So that's how you go about telling a very interesting, making a very interesting storyboard. This is not exactly a question of your drawing skills. Yes, drawing skill needs to be there. You need to have a good hold of your lines, your sketch quality even, but you don't have to make things realistic, right? You don't have to make things नाक को नाक जैसा ही बनाना है, हाथ को हाथ जैसा ही बनाना है, आँख एकदम realistic होना चाहिए. These things are not necessary. The most important thing is you telling a story, you communicating your idea through storyboard in this case, right? So uh, uh, use simple illustrations. You can have a very simple form for your humans even. You don't have to go make a very proportionate human form. You can have a very caricature-like approach. Whatever you're comfortable with. But the main focus should be your story. Okay? So just keep that thing in mind as you are going to approach the storyboarding on a question. Right? First is write your story. If the story is not given, have your story with a problem. Okay? Try to solve that problem in a positive way. In this case, we solve the problem for Tiger, I guess. He's not going to be hungry. But yeah, pick a problem, okay, and solve it, yeah, in a positive way, in a you know, in a interesting way, right? Make it wholesome if you can. If you can't, make it suspenseful like this one. Both very different story, but the principles I've used is the same. Okay. Third is remember this to make your frames interesting. Zoom in, zoom out, right? Establish the story. First frame is always to establish the story. आपका जो भी story कहाँ पे हो रहा है, कहाँ पे start हो रहा है आपका story, कहाँ पे चल रहा है आपका story, classroom में चल रहा है, जंगल में चल रहा है, मेट्रो स्टेशन में चल रहा है, तो फर्स्ट फ्रेम आप वो चीज दिखाइए, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा डिटेलिंग होगा, ठीक है? उसके बाद अब उसके बाद हर एक फ्रेम में आपको वो चीज दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं। हर एक फ्रेम में अगर आपने मेट्रो बना दिया पर्सपेक्टिव में, फिर हर एक फ्रेम में आप मेट्रो दिखा रहे हैं, नॉट नेसेसरी। ओके, उसके बाद देन यू टेल योर स्टोरी। ऑब्वियसली अब मैंने यहाँ पे जंगल का सीन बनाया, तो यहाँ पे साइड बिल्डिंग्स में दिखाऊंगा, you know, that goes without saying. So obviously I use that, but I don't have to show the whole forest again. I could have shown this tiger थोड़ा सा दूर से भी, but that's not that interesting. अगर मेरे पास एक्स्ट्रा फ्रेम्स होते तो शायद मैं 2 फ्रेम्स में यूज करके एक फ्रेम में थोड़ा दूर से लोगों को भी देखने में पता नहीं चल रहा, अगर मैं मूवी या फिल्म कर रहा हूँ तो दूर से लोगों को पता नहीं चल रहा है, राइट। सो इस तरीके से भी हो सकता था, बट फर्स्ट फ्रेम एस्टैब्लिश कहाँ पे स्टोरी हो रहा है, सेकंड फ्रेम जूम इन दी स्टोरी और द कैरेक्टर व्हाट इज टेकिंग प्लेस। यहाँ पे भी मैंने थर्ड फ्रेम में क्या किया है, सेम कैरेक्टर को ही मैंने किया है, बट देन आई एम नॉट शोइंग इट ऑल, आई एम कम्युनिकेटिंग दैट सर्टेन nuisance which he did, थोड़ा सा जो गलती कर दी इसने, he made that noise, तो मुझे मैंने दिखा दिया, एंड देन fourth frame में there is clear innocence. That's it. That and movie, you can see the zoom in and zoom out thing happening. It's mostly zoom in here. It's mostly यहाँ पे ऊपर का zoom out था, but you should be using this technique and show the expression and emotion. All right, so that's basically storyboarding for you. Keep the pointers in mind, and before I move ahead with other topic, I want you guys to write this down. अगर आपने लिखा नहीं है, I want you guys to ideate. ठीक है, by the end, at the end of the session, I want to hear it from you. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि आप बस आप देखते रहोगे. I want to hear a very basic but fun 4 frame story from you guys. All right, and the prompt for you is that you are a fly. Everyone, did everyone get me? I'll repeat myself again. You are a fly. Makhi, not madhumakhi. Okay, you are a fly. That's the prompt. Think about it. बाद में, अभी नहीं, अभी भी सोच सकते हो थोड़ा सा, but we will move on to the next one. Abhi. Did everybody get the prompt?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are a fly. So 4 frames. Think about it. Think about the way we discussed here. Think about story in that context. Simple. Add a problem. Add some interesting characters. Solve the problem. Finish the story in that way. All right.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So I had a question. I saw this one frame where they used arrows to depict zoom in and zoom out. So what they did was, if they wanted to show that they have zoomed in, they used 4 arrows on the 4 corners of the frame, which were pointing towards the center. And for zoom out, they were pointing away from the center. So can we use those?
I'm not very sure about you using arrows. Now, arrows किस type के हैं? I will have to look into that particular image, right? But I will not suggest you to use arrows, because now जो हम लोग अभी process drawing या step drawing की बात करने जा रहे हैं, वहाँ पे आप arrows use करोगे. But for telling a story, see, you can use expression lines, right? You can use like zoom in है, so you're using these expression lines. You're using these expression lines to show that camera has zoomed in into this face of the tiger, but to show arrow here is not going to do. So in the limited amount of frames which you have, 4 frames, 5 frames is zyada nahi kehte for storyboarding. Using arrow will not be a good, I would say, will not be good for your presentation for the story. It will make it look very artificial. And वैसे भी अगर आप story में zoom in कर रहे हो, आपने zoom in तो बना दिया, आप इसमें arrow डाल के क्या करोगे?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so skip the arrow part. Let's not use it. Zoom in करके दिखा दिया, that's fine. Okay, see, one of the confusion, very good for you that you asked the question. One of the confusion is, ठीक है, तो हमने first frame में scene compose किया, right? अब सेकेंड फ्रेम में हमने टाइगर का शक्ल दिखा रहे हैं, तो मतलब हाउ डू वी नो कि इट इज हैपनिंग देयर ओनली? How do we know कि this tiger is looking at him only? ये सारे questions आ सकते हैं if you think a little too much, but that's not the right way to think. Okay, that's not the right way to think because आपका story ये एक ही story है. Right? This is one story. So that's basically what you're thinking is you're thinking out of the context of the story. आप story से बाहर सोच रहे हो कि अरे टाइगर है बट क्या ये इसी को देख रहा है, क्या ये इसी जंगल में है, क्या ये कहाँ पर है, getting it? So that's out of the scope here. तो उतना ज्यादा ओवर थिंकिंग मत करो. एग्जामिनर विल नॉट थिंक लाइक ओके यहाँ पे मुझे अंडर में दिख रहा कहीं पे भी तो ये गलत है, ऐसा नहीं है. दिस it's not frame by frame. This whole thing is one execution. So this whole thing together is telling a story. If you just focus on one, ये तो out of context हो जाएगा. ठीक है? So just keep that thing in mind. Don't feel like आपको हर एक फ्रेम में समझाना ही है या फिर दिखाना ही है कहाँ पे चल रहा है, कहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है. First frame में दिखा दिया, that's done. Now focus on telling the story in the most interesting way possible. All right? Clear?
Yes.
Everyone? ठीक है?
सर
हाँ जी, yes.
सर स्टोरी बोर्डिंग में क्या हर फ्रेम में ही राइट अप लिखना जरूरी है और मतलब लिमिट कितना है?
See, I will suggest you limit अगर मैं कहूँ ऐसा कुछ limitations है नहीं. It all comes down to your presentation. But अगर story boarding में आपने ज्यादा write up कर दिया so it
Yes.
will definitely not look good. Expression words, ouch, ooh, bzz, yeah, beep, beep, beep sound, these are fine. One line dialogues, max to max 2 line dialogues, that's fine. But you're explaining the whole scene in your story board of the frame, that is not advisable.
Okay, sir.
ओके ठीक है. एंड वैसे भी आपको स्टोरी बोर्डिंग में क्वेश्चन कैसा है, आपको बोर्ड दे दिया है, देन यू विल हैव दीस सेक्शंस to explain your story.
Okay, sir.
हर एक बोर्ड के नीचे. So you don't have to worry about writing on the board. Either there will be this writing section और आपको story boarding आपके फ्रेम के नीचे they will be telling you कि like 80 words 50 words में स्टोरी बताओ क्या चल रहा है आपके फ्रेम्स, तो वहाँ पे आप एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हो. ठीक है, बट
Okay, sir.
don't add anything unnecessary in terms of write up.
Okay, sir.
Okay, all right, ठीक है. All right guys, so any more question for storyboarding? Whatever we discussed, I'm going to move on to the next one now. Everybody's clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You are a fly. बोलना मत उसको, ठीक है ना?
Yes,
You are a
sir.
fly. Anyway, so moving on. Now the second one is थोड़ा बहुत related to storyboarding only. We call it comic strip, right? Comic strip is similar. जो भी मैंने बताया अभी, जो भी आपने यहाँ पे देखा, जो भी यहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा है, it's similar. Comic strip, storyboarding, very similar. The only difference is the way they give you the question. Storyboarding में आपको कह देंगे 4 फ्रेम में बना, ठीक है? कॉमिक स्ट्रिप में और आपको वो 4 फ्रेम दे भी देंगे पेपर में क्वेश्चन में, बट फॉर कॉमिक स्ट्रिप what will happen is you will be given one complete frame. Okay, same thing, but you will be given आपका क्वेश्चन होगा यहाँ पे, and then this will be the frame. Now maybe they will mention the number of frames, and most often they do 6, 7, 8, usually ज़्यादा होता है, ठीक है? But now the thing with comic stripping is you will have to make your own frames. Now here you can be creative with the dimension of your frame as well. You can make your frames more dynamic. ठीक है? So this is the basic structure. How I go about comic stripping is देखो सेम चीज है, ठीक है? सब में आप जो भी आपको स्टोरी देंगे, जो भी आपको सिचुएशन देंगे, the only thing is the way they will give you is one frame like this. All right, and you will have to be creative, or you will have to create your own frames. Storyboarding में आपको फ्रेम दिया जाता है, and उसमें आपको बनाना है. इसमें आपको ये भी आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि कहाँ पे कितना आपको स्पेस लेना है. अब देखिए, for me, my suggestion to you guys would be to to stress too much about creatively expressing the framework. Keep it simple like this. या तो फिर आप ऐसे रखिए, या तो फिर आप थोड़ा सा इसको चेंज कर सकते हैं। एक यहाँ पे हटा दिया, तो यहाँ पे आप 3 लगा दे रहे हो। मतलब गिवन द फैक्ट कि अगर यहाँ पे आपसे पूछा गया है कि 1 2 3 4 5 6 फ्रेम्स में कॉमिक स्ट्रिप कीजिए एक स्टोरी को लेके, अगर ऐसा कुछ आपको कह दिया है तो 6 फ्रेम्स को आप क्रिएटिवली, एक फ्रेम में मे बी यू आर प्लॉटिंग ए सिनेरियो, a very let's say what is happening is we have this we have our character. Let's say they are in some, a very pretty vacation spot लग रहा है मेरे को, but enjoying the view. So we have this character on a veranda. We're just setting a plot. So we want to really, give this a nice dramatic entrance, like where we are just able to see the shot. Very common shot if we talk about, in films. Like this is a very symmetric shot of a veranda. Side में हमारे पास curtains हैं, right? We have this person standing. And we make it solid only, standing on the veranda, looking out. Let's give some birds. Yeah. He is having a hot piece of a little bit of steam. It's very cold. The station. So view. Details. There you go. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding extra detail to the first frame. Now there are certain differences. The first difference with comic strip and storyboarding is, यहाँ पे आप, you will have dialogues, you will have थोड़ा सा interesting scenarios and situations, right? So we will, अब मैं थोड़ा सा इसको light heartedly, थोड़ा सा serious type से दिखा रहा हूँ, but you can keep it light hearted as well. So we have our character. This. Maybe some dialogue or some thought. Something he must be thinking about his friends or how he is maybe celebrating something. I mean, yeah, if it's the same theme, he's alone. Let me let me make a friend for him. I don't want to make all my characters from. Let me make this. Yeah. So this will change the story. right? So here we have two characters. Yeah, I just felt like I'm again and again making the same thing. I'm only characters. So here he's not thinking, but he's talking. Right? So it's all conversation happening between the two characters. Okay, but we will show different expressions. He's like something, and then the other character is wearing a cap. Thora about the he's wearing a cap, and let's say he has his hair open. And he says something. Why? Right, so we have the story, two characters. थोड़ा सा मैं देखो थोड़ा सा style में change कर रहा हूँ. As in one will have a cap, one will have a open here, so that confusion ना हो कितने सारे characters हैं. Likewise, just by two people only we can complete a story here in terms of comic stripping. So the main difference, visually speaking, there is not much. Fundamentally speaking, there is not much. Visually speaking, yes. This means so fundamentally speaking, you are telling a story. Okay, but the only difference will be if they say comic strip, right? You will have to make your own, boards in this case. Just a comics mein hote hain. And the boards can be a bit more dynamic, right? Boards can be a bit more experimental. Like for example, ab itna zyada mat kijiyega because I think it will get a little confusing if it is too much. Let's say, this is basically aage tak hai. And this is one frame, this is another frame, and then instead of the dialogue being here, we have a dialogue here. Like he's saying something to his friend. Yeah, guys following me? So that's the basic difference. You can have lots of dialogue in your comic stripping. The main difference is how you frame your story. I will suggest you, if you are going with a very dynamic way of telling story like this, the frame is very, it's not symmetric. So I'll suggest you to number your frames as well. Okay? And this will be the good one. Are you catching it, guys? समझ में आ रहा है आप लोगों को? Like if you are going with
Yes,
something,
sir.
yeah, if you make your frames dynamic like this, I'll suggest you to number them. Okay, ऐसा भी नहीं कि ज़्यादा बड़ा, but छोटे-छोटे numberings so that there is no confusion. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth one being this frame. Okay, everybody clear? With comic stripping, it's gonna be the same. आपको comic strip में usually it's a scenario. ठीक है, जैसे कि अभी आपको कहा यू आर ए फ्लाई के लिए बनाई, उससे पहले आपको बताया यू आर फिश, तो उसी तरीके से आपको कॉमिक स्ट्रिप किया. यू आर गिवन अ सिनेरियो एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट सिनेरियो यू क्रिएट योर स्टोरी. ठीक है, वेरी सिमिलर टू योर स्टोरी बोर्डिंग ओनली. ठीक है, ऑलराइट.
Yes,
So
sir.
so that's pretty much for comic stripping. Now see, before I move ahead, जो आपका जो इसमें जो इसी में स्टेप ड्राइंग, प्रोसेस ड्राइंग, स्टोरी बोर्डिंग, मतलब now the third category in this kind of question where you're narrating something, where you're showing something, the third category doesn't have much of a scope for a story. Okay, third category being your process drawing, is called step drawing. अभी process drawing बहुत ही interesting चीज है because see, storyboarding and process drawing, these are two favorites of Nift. ये दे देते हैं, मतलब या तो फिर प्रोसेस ड्राइंग दे देंगे, स्टोरी बोर्डिंग दे देंगे, कुछ ना कुछ, या तो फिर कोई प्रोसेस वो पूछ लेंगे आपसे. ठीक है, तो उसको एग्जीक्यूट कैसे करना है, मुझे श्योर आप लोगों को थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया होगा, बट इसको एग्जीक्यूट आपको कैसे करना है, दैट इज समथिंग वी विल लुक इनटू. नाउ लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट process drawing, or in other words we also call it step drawing. So इसमें क्या है, you will have to show a process or a step of something happening, something जैसे कि what making of tea, making of Maggie, or maybe it can be something very different also. Jैसे drying of clothes, right? Or जैसे last year question था, you had to show rotting of an apple. So you can see like making tea and showing rotting of apple are two very different type of questions, but they come under the same category. So दोनों को हम पहले देखेंगे कि किस तरीके से you go ahead. Now यहाँ पे भी yes you will have to make your frames. यहाँ पे भी आपको आपके फ्रेम में दिखाना है चीजों को, ठीक है. एंड जूम इन जूम आउट भी आप यूज कर सकते हो इसमें भी, but a little context will be different. ठीक है, like for example let's say you are making, अब हम दोनों टाइप के क्वेश्चंस को देखें, ठीक है. One is your process drawing जिसमें you have to make, you have to show making coffee, right? ठीक है. So first frame usually people will show everything, as in they will just start the process, गैस चल रहा है, वहाँ पे कुछ उबल रहा है, चीजें डाल रहा है, ठीक है. फर्स्ट फ्रेम में भी सेम, सेकंड फ्रेम में भी सेम, थर्ड फ्रेम में भी सेम, फोर्थ फ्रेम में आपके सामने कॉफी रेडी, या फिर फिफ्थ फ्रेम, जितने भी आपके नंबर ऑफ फ्रेम्स दिए जाते हैं या फिर दिए जाएंगे आपके सामने. दैट इज गोइंग टू बी अ वेरी बोरिंग, ठीक है. ध्यान रखिए, you should, like, your creativity will be expressed if you have your, you know presentation done in a very interesting or in a very fun, like आपको दिखाना है कि you are interested. So just making that same gas stove ऊपर चल रहा है, इसमें हम बस डाल रहे हैं, सेकंड फ्रेम में क्या डाल रहे हैं, चीनी डाल रहे हैं, थर्ड फ्रेम में कॉफी डाल रहे हैं, फिफ्थ फ्रेम फोर्थ फ्रेम में वो गर्म हो रहा है, उसी में कुछ आपने एंगल चेंज नहीं किया, और फोर्थ फ्रेम में कप में कॉफी. दैट्स दैट्स राइट, वैसे ही बनेगा कॉफी, बट दैट्स नॉट इंटरेस्टिंग. सो द फोकस शुड नॉट बी टू मेक थिंग्स, आई मीन ऐसा कुछ आपको अनोखा चीज नहीं बनाने के लिए कि बिरयानी कैसे बनाते हैं स्टेप्स में बना के दिखाओ, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा. आपको नॉर्मल चीजें ही कहेंगे, मैगी, कॉफी, टी, या फिर कपड़े कैसे सूख रहे हैं, या आपके ऑब्जर्वेशन के बेसिस में दे दोगे भी समथिंग सिंपल. बट नाउ यू थिंकिंग अरे ये तो बहुत इजी सा दे दे, तो मुझे पता है, देन आप बस दिखा दे रहे हो सही कि पहले चीनी डालते हैं, फिर पानी गर्म हो जाता है, फिर कॉफी डालते हैं. तो वैसा अगर आप करोगे तो इट वोंट बी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो डोंट थिंक अगर इजी सा कोई ऑप्शन आ गया तो वो यस डन, मेरे को तो पता है स्टेप्स. इट्स नॉट अबाउट राइट एंड रॉन्ग हियर. अगर आपने चीनी की जगह कुछ और मिक्स कर दे रहे हो, वो भी दिखा दे रहे हो, लाइक चीनी की जगह वैसे क्या मिक्स करेंगे, लेट्स से यू आर एडिंग हनी, but that also you're showing in a very interesting way, right? You may be zooming in into this honey ka bottle, and that is falling on the container where the milk is boiling. That is much more better than you just showing the same thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here,
Excuse me, sir.
Hanji,
So we have question on YouTube.
you have a question on YouTube? Yes. May I know the question, please?
First question is changing the perspective of problem, or we can change it when we want.
Let me just see. Ma'am, can you just bring that forward in?
Okay, I am sharing a screenshot, right?
Yeah, just screenshot, or just आप अगर लिख के दे देंगे तो that will be better. Like in the copy paste कर दीजिए इसी में Zoom के chat box में. Okay. let me see if guys, if anybody, okay, take it, YouTube live say question, so I don't think they will be here.
Sir, done. Please check your WhatsApp.
Okay, send me the WhatsApp. Okay. Okay. Okay, so first question, very interesting, is changing the perspective a problem, or we can change it when we want. Changing a perspective is not a problem. Actually, it's a good thing. I'm thinking this particular question is on the relationship of storyboarding only and comics driven only. No, it's not a problem. You can change the perspective of the story. Okay, you can change it as in what I'm getting is like, even this is a difference in perspective. Right now, if you're talking about types of perspective, एक में आपने 1 point, दूसरे में आपने 2 point, that is also fine. Given the context कि आपका story communicate हो रहा है, वो बस जबरदस्ती के लिए मत डालो. अगर आपका story में वो necessary आपको लग रहा है, तब कीजिए, that's fine. But show off करने, मतलब आपके perspective के knowledge को दिखाने के लिए, you will have your scene composition का भी एक question होगा. So you can, yes, but regardless, if you think it is necessary to show the story, to express the story, then yes, you can change the perspective. And basically, we are changing the perspective there, but not in the term of 1 point or 2 point perspective, right? So that's there. You can change the perspective when you want, but it's not about when you want. It's about when the story requires. ठीक है, तो उस चीज को ध्यान में रखिए. Second question, if in storyboarding frames are not given, so can we make these frames like comic strip? Usually, not usually, अभी तक का जो record है, both Nift and NID, storyboarding always is given, they have always given frames, exact number of frames, and वो frames बना के दिया है. Right, so वो chances, वो होने के chances कम है, but just in case if that happens, I will suggest you to go ahead with your traditional storyboarding के frames only, right? Because otherwise it will become comic strip. अब वो अगर आप comic strip की तरह बना के दिखाते हैं, basically guys the question is कि अगर आपको frames नहीं दिए storyboarding के लिए, ओके जैसे कि मैं 4 फ्रेम्स बना रहा हूँ, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि 4 फ्रेम्स देते हैं, अगर वैसा नहीं दिया, आपको जस्ट एक पूरा दे दिया है और वहां पे आपसे कह रहे हैं कि स्टोरी बोर्डिंग कीजिए, एंड अगर आप कॉमिक स्ट्रिप की तरह बनाते हो तो क्या वो सही है? और मैं कह रहा हूँ कि वैसा होता नहीं है. स्टोरी बोर्डिंग का क्वेश्चन है तो आपको फ्रेम्स दिए हुए होते हैं, एंड उन्हीं फ्रेम्स में आप बनाते हो, चांसेस आर लो बट यू नेवर नो. सो safe bet is make the frames like how they are traditionally done in storyboarding and be creative with the point of view. Okay, that is because otherwise it will become comic strip, so I'm not very sure about that part. Okay, so stick to the rules in this part. And third question, how many frames should story exceed to? यार इसमें तो अगर आपको 4 frames दिया है तो 4 frames में ही होना चाहिए. That's the trick. That's where they will test your creativity, right? So 4 frames में है, मतलब okay, you are a fly जो कि आप करने जा रहे हो, और मैंने आपको कह दिया कि 4 फ्रेम में ही बनाना है, आपका स्टोरी 4 फ्रेम में ही आना चाहिए, right? So there you can't make it 5, you can't make an extra block there. ठीक है, so you have to, वहां पे आपका yes, there you'll have to think a little bit harder, right? But yes, 4 frames दिया तो 4 frames में होना चाहिए, 3 frames दिया तो 3 frames में ही होना चाहिए. And to avoid that kind of confusion, that kind of stressful situation, my suggestion to you guys is 5 मिनट दीजिए आपके स्टोरी को सॉलिड होने में. मतलब सोच रहे होंगे स्टोरी, राइट? अभी भी आप सोच रहे होंगे यू आर अ फ्लाई, क्या होगा स्टोरी, क्या होगा सिनेरियो, 4 फ्रेम्स से बनाना है ना? तो इन अ सिचुएशन लाइक दैट, फर्स्ट बनाने से पहले try to have your story set. ठीक है, get your story, मतलब have it with you. Otherwise अगर आप, ऐसा भी होता है ना कि like I go with the flow sir, है ना, आप बस फ्लो के साथ बना रहे हो, ठीक है, अगर तो वैसा करोगे तो फिर there can be a problem, then आपको जबरदस्ती स्टोरी खत्म करना पड़ जाएगा फोर्थ फ्रेम में, which आप कर सकते हो, बट आई सजेस्ट थोड़ा सा टाइम लीजिए, थोड़ा सा सोचिए आपकी स्टोरी का क्या हो रहा है, क्या क्या आप दिखाना चाहते हो फोर्थ फ्रेम में, एंड उसके बाद देन व्हेन यू ड्रॉ देयर विल बी क्लैरिटी, देयर विल बी कंटेंटमेंट, लाइक आप शांति से बना पाओगे, बट 5 मिनट दीजिए थोड़ा सा सोचने कि क्या होगा आपका स्टोरी, एंड शांति दिमाग से, लाइक कीप अ वाटर बॉटल विद यू गाइस, एंड लाइक आई सेड स्टे हाइड्रेटेड, ड्रिंक द वाटर, एंड देन उसके बाद सोचिएगा कि क्या करोगे आप स्टोरी के साथ, ठीक है, एनीवे, सो नाउ या व्हाट वाज आई टॉकिंग अबाउट, आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट क्या बना रहे थे गाइस, चाय बना रहे थे कि कॉफी बना रहे थे, तो याद दिलाएगा मेरे को जिसके नाम है, nobody knows, I think चाय बना रहे थे, कॉफी, ओके, थैंक यू, ओके, सो नाउ फर्स्ट फ्रेम, जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि डोंट, अब जो सारे फ्रेम में पतीला पतीला दिखा रहे हो, उबल रहा है, फिर जाके फिर लास्ट फ्रेम में कॉफी का मग दिखा रहे हो, वैसा मत कर रहे हो, इसमें भी थोड़ा सा आप स्टोरी की तरह अप्रोच कीजिए, राइट, भले ही ये प्रोसेस ड्राइंग है, बट आपको दिखाना है कॉफी मेकिंग प्रोसेस स्टेप्स, सो टेक इट लाइक हाउ यू विल टेल a story. So first frame में what I'm going to do is I'm gonna so I'm setting up a scenario here. I mean, bottom में भी होता है, but my since this morning only I made myself coffee and it was from a Amul milk packet full cream, so that is something which is in my mind, so I'm going to use it. So yeah, what I'm doing here in the first frame is I'm setting up a scenario. Same principle I'm use कर रहे हैं of storyboarding. Yeah, you're setting up the scenario. अब आपको कॉफी बनाने के लिए जो भी जरूरत है उन सारी चीजों को मैं यहाँ पे दिखा रहा हूँ, बट ऐसे भी नहीं कि बस मैं बना के दिखाऊं, like as in bana ke dikhau, as in like without any setup, like I'm showing a setup, like it is happening in the kitchen and I have my milk, I have my that's going to be the coffee. It's better if you guys throw some mark kar lo isme, like this is the coffee and then I have also my mug ready, which in this case is empty. और क्या क्या चाहिए होता है, मैं कुछ मिस कर रहा हूँ गाइस, बताओ, हेल्प करो मेरे को यहाँ पे, कॉफी है, दूध है, मग रख दिया साइड में,
Cocoa powder.
Sugar.
oh, cocoa powder, that's interesting, that will be mocha, but ठीक है, cocoa
Sugar.
powder,
चॉकलेट सॉस
chocolate sauce, yeah, okay, ठीक है, that's nice.
Ginger.
What?
जिंजर
That's interesting, उसको क्या बोलते हैं हम, I don't know, कॉफी में मैंने जिंजर को भी ऐड नहीं किया, but that will be interesting.
So sugar.
Yes, we will have a sugar container. I will fit it right behind our coffee. So what we are doing here is we are setting up our scenario, right? So we are setting up scenario. So इसको pretty भी कर देते हैं. We can sort of show window on the side. It's optional. I'm just adding it. Okay. So here we have the whole setup ready. Okay, so this is even with something very minute like this or something not so significant like making coffee process दिखाना है, इधर भी don't just मतलब सही करने के चक्कर में मत पड़ जाना, make it interesting. So okay, and also somebody said chocolate syrup, and yes, I do like cocoa powder or chocolate syrup in my coffee. But guys, usko hum mocha bolte हैं, पता है? We call that mocha when we have chocolate and the um, coffee mix. But that's fine. I like it. Like that. So we have sugar here. Let's mention it sugar. थोड़ा बहुत spell कर देते हैं यहाँ पे. All right. We have cocoa, chocolate. So we लिख देंगे chocolate syrup. We have this container. We have the milk. Done. And then iske baad, then you can focus on these steps, right? You can focus on showing. अब यहाँ पे भी थोड़ा बहुत आप interesting कर सकते. See, it's not necessary if there will be time constraint or if you're not able to think in that way, it's fine. Question नहीं छोड़ना, attempt सारे कर ले, ठीक है? सारे attempt करने, question छोड़ना नहीं. But if you can, and I hope for you guys that you will, try to not just make up. मैं क्या कह रहा था कि बस इसी फ्रेम को आप सब में दिखा दो, समझ करो. जैसे कि हम लोग यहाँ पे क्या डालेंगे, हमारा ये 10 पतीला, तो पहले क्या डालोगे guys?
दूध.
Exactly, yes. You'll be adding some milk from this particular packet. You're going to add, it will be to here, and it's the milk flowing, and it's going to be some heating up. So you can see now यहाँ पे भी the way we are showing our process is interesting, right? You can be creative with your frames, right? This is just one way I'm going ahead. So we have the milk being added. All right, done. देखिए आप अब यहाँ पे दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये कि क्या आपको इसमें लिखना जरूरी है, बताना जरूरी है? जरूरी नहीं है, मतलब आपका फोकस ये होना चाहिए कि प्रोसेस ड्राइंग में जो आप दिखा रहे हैं वो देख के समझ में आ रहा है. तो यहाँ पे मिल्क एम से तो कुछ है नहीं, तो वहां पे पता चल, अगर मैंने पूरा नहीं लिखा है मिल्क, मे बी आई वुड ट्राई टू शो इट अ नीचे थोड़ा सा और, बट एम से समझ में आ रहा है दिस इज मिल्क, प्लस वो पैकेट से नीचे गिर रहा है. लाइक एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट जो है उसको कॉन्टिन्यूएशन में रखना, ठीक है? यहाँ पे पैकेट में रखा हुआ है मिल्क, वहां पे मैं बॉटल से ही निकालूं तो वो थोड़ा सा वो ये क्या हो रहा है, आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट हो जाएगा. तो वो एक स्टोरी टेलिंग का जो एक you should focus on telling a story. Like with every creative question, even if it is just a scenario, if you make a story, it goes interesting for you. It's like तब थोड़ा मजा भी आता है बनाने, ठीक है? Anyway, so we are shown the plot over here. We have added milk. Now let's say we want to show. I'm gonna add this frame where yes, milk डाल दिया है, it's boiling. We have the container here. And yes, it's heating up. And where we will be adding, tell me guys, क्या डालोगे अभी?
Coffee.
Exactly. So we will be adding coffee. Keep it simple. अभी मैं hand gesture add कर रहा हूँ, थोड़ा सा gesture की बात करें. You can try to keep it just very simple. Like what I do with hand gestures is I use the idea of trapezium, right? And then I add my fingers to it. So we're starting with this. You don't have to show in detail, proper. This is really need fine arts. See, fine arts का test नहीं है. Design test is not your drawing test. Okay, so don't stress too much about the realism as such, but yeah, हाथ बनाने तो हाथ लगना चाहिए. That's really important. All right, so we have our coffee being added. ठीक है, and we will have in the next frame इसी तरीके से usually 6-7 frames में होता है हमारा इस तरीके से. So like some of you were talking about adding chocolate syrup or cocoa powder, right? So even there what you can do is maybe अगर आपको सिर्फ 5 frames में ही खत्म करना, so इससे next frame में क्या होगा हमारा, we will be showing what we will be showing that both cocoa syrup and sugar is being added together. Are you getting it? Like how we will go about this? Maybe we will continue this frame like that only. Maybe थोड़ा सा इसी के viewpoint से, but now I'm gonna change it. Okay, and usually is that question where you will have to use colors. So we have this. We will have chocolate. This looks like ketchup. So chocolate syrup डाल रहे हैं हम इसमें. Make sure you mention this is chocolate syrup and we are adding. Sugar. The sugar वाला जो spoon होता है, right? See the difference in the spoon which we have here. This is the masala वाला spoon. That's something which we are adding. We show the hand here. Another hand. There we go. So we have milk. And in the last frame you will show कैसे दिखाओगे, ठीक है? Fourth frame में हमने सब डाल दिया, सारा ingredient is there. Then we have the sugar there, we have the chocolate syrup there, coffee भी डाल दिया हमने. And in the last frame, like let's not keep it very like ठीक है, cup में coffee डाल दिया, it's done. Let's not make it like that. In the last frame, let's keep it a bit more interesting. And what we can do is maybe you can show yourself having this is just my angle of choice. You can choose your angle, maybe side angle सब दिखा दे. Okay, that's gonna be the last frame. Not just showing coffee, रखा हुआ है वहाँ पे, रख सकते हो वैसे भी, right? That's also fine, not a problem. But adding a bit of, some interesting scene like this is going to be a cool thing to add, right? It will show your visualization, yeah, right? How well you're able to visualize, and also your drawing skills, how well you're able to represent it. Okay, so that is a very important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, keep your sorry, I think someone's Nice. Please mute your audio.
Sir,
I think किसी का हाँ जी yes.
in the last frame, can we use reading a magazine while drinking the coffee?
Yeah, see that's a coffee होना चाहिए. ठीक है. Important is coffee होना चाहिए. So reading a magazine, drinking a coffee. I don't know.
Oh,
Yes, you can do that. But coffee, जो mug है, coffee mug, that should be the
Mug with a
emphasis.
concept, and we can show the background with the magazine page.
Yes, we can. See, my point is you should make it interesting. But interesting के चक्कर में ज़्यादा भी खुद के लिए challenging मत कर देना. If you can draw, go for it. Definitely. That someone reading a magazine having coffee, that feels very interesting in a frame. So yes, you can go with it. Given the fact coffee देखना चाहिए. ठीक है, coffee नहीं दिखेगा last frame में तो फिर कहाँ गया coffee? That here in this that context जो कि हम स्टोरी बोर्डिंग में बात कर रहे थे कि यार उस सेकंड फ्रेम में ये कैसे आ गया, तो वो चीज यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा अप्लाई होती है. जो हमारा मेन सब्जेक्ट है कॉफी, वो देखना चाहिए. मतलब वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट कंटिन्यू होना चाहिए, कंटिन्यूएशन में चलना चाहिए. बाकी बाकी आप like somebody is standing on the balcony drinking coffee, like that, or reading, drinking coffee, or in front of their laptop before working and drinking coffee. That's up to you. That's your choice. If a easy scene code instead of from the front, you're showing from the side, all that is fine. But coffee देखना चाहिए कि he or she is having the coffee. Okay.
सर
Mm-hmm.
सर कई बार क्वेश्चंस में स्टेप्स बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं बट फ्रेम कम होता है, जैसे मेकिंग ऑफ अ पेपर बोट, तो उसमें क्या करना चाहिए?
उसमें I understand yeah, this question. उसमें जो एक्स्ट्रा स्टेप्स हैं, है ना, जितने आई
जी
थिंक
सर.
पेपर बोट बनाने में कितने स्टेप्स लगते हैं? आई थिंक अराउंड 8 and 9. आई थिंक
यस
मैक्स
सर.
10 के ऊपर नहीं जाता. सो बीच में जो एक्स्ट्रा स्टेप्स होते हैं, जो एक्स्ट्रा फोल्ड्स होते हैं, यू कैन स्किप दैट. You don't have to एकदम word by word, step by step show कि 8 steps. Oh my god, you can skip certain unimportant steps. क्योंकि आप देखिए, one step तो यहाँ पे 5 फ्रेम के हिसाब से एक स्टेप तो मैंने भी स्किप कर दिया. अब वो इसके बाद तो पोर करेंगे ना कॉफी पर, राइट? बट आई एम स्ट्रेट अवे शोइंग कि कॉफी बन गया भाई, वो एंजॉय कर रही है. ठीक है ना? सो डोंट वरी अबाउट कि ओके एग्जैक्टली 10 स्टेप्स है तो 10 स्टेप्स से दिखाना है. Don't worry about that. And there is not just one way to make paper boat. So people who know different methods will make it in different way. And I know which method you're talking about. Even like growing up in India, that's one method which we all know, which has 8 to 9 steps. Most of us, which we know, but maybe in different parts it's different. So it वो भी आ सकता है कि किसी ने different steps से बनाया हो paper boat, the paper airplane. Right? So you can skip on certain unnecessary steps. But उसमें confuse मत हो जाना या फिर stress मत हो जाना कि अरे 9 steps हैं और यहाँ तो 4 ही frame दिया है, वैसा मत करना. You can skip on certain unimportant steps. Getting it?
सर. ओके
Yeah?
सर.
Yeah? Anyway, ठीक है.
sir.
So, हाँ जी, yes.
So do we have to color them as well? Is
Oh
it
yes,
necessary?
yes, it's necessary. As in, it will be necessary if you are asked in the question. But देखो निफ्ट में यही होता है कि mostly they will ask you to color question. जैसे it's completely opposite of NIT in that case. You will have more coloring on the questions comparatively. So coloring is important. ठीक है. Now talking about coloring, what I can tell you guys is the way you guys color or have traditionally colored, I will suggest you not to do in that way. Like what I'm talking about is जैसे कि अगर आपको इस space में red करना है, तो आप इसको पूरा भरना start कर देते हो इस तरीके से, है ना? Now this is fine, but because of the medium, आपका medium क्या है? Dry medium है, और dry medium के हिसाब से एकदम वो क्रिस्प वाला फिनिश नहीं आता जैसे आपकी मे बी वाटर कलर या फिर एक्रिलिक्स या पोस्टर से आता हो. तो बट इट्स फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग बिकॉज यू वांट दैट फिनिश इन योर ड्राई मीडियम, है ना? इट्स फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग लाइक दैट. आई सजेस्ट यू डोंट बी फ्रस्ट्रेटेड बिकॉज द एग्जामिनर्स, द पीपल हु आर चेकिंग, दे नो कि आप ड्राई मीडियम यूज करें. ठीक है. सो द थिंग्स व्हिच यू गाइस बी concerned and cautious about कि आपको इस particular form में read करना है, ठीक है, it's a certain form, so use this hatching. You don't have to color the whole thing red, right? You can just hatch it, like just you're touching upon it. Like for example, यहाँ पे मुझे थोड़ा सा कुछ iron का दिखाना है, right? So instead of me stressing about filling it all up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a shade of gray and I'm gonna make my mark like that. Just like how if you guys know hatching, that will be good. You're just gonna do it with coloring. But in terms of coloring, don't try to जैसे मुझे अब ये भरना है तो मैं इसको पूरा ऐसे करके भर रहा हूँ. No, that's not. Don't do that. So talking about coloring, that was a good question. Talking about coloring, try to जैसे आपने सोचा कि ठीक है this particular chocolate का जो है हमारा syrup का जो bottle है, it's gonna be brown. Now brown लेके पूरा भरोगे नहीं, ठीक है? Try to dark brown से अपनी shade मारते हैं, फिर light brown से shade मारते हैं. That's more than enough. Don't get obsessed over feeling like this. इस तरीके से भरने का चक्कर में ऑब्सेस मत हो जाना, ठीक है? Keep it, don't do it like this basically. Yeah, when you're talking about coloring, be smart about it. और इस मेथड से, and actually you know what guys, dry medium से coloring, I mean my students would know this, but dry medium से coloring जब करते हैं, when you try to fill it up, that's not how you even use dry medium. The way you use dry medium is देखिए ओके यहाँ पे मैंने ग्रे कर दिया, देन थोड़ा सा मुझे ब्लू दिखाना है, एक शाइन होता है मेटल पर. तो इस मेथड से क्या होता है कि आपके जो बाकी के जो कलर्स हैं वो भी दिखते हैं, बट अगर मैं येलो कर रहा हूँ फिर उसके ऊपर रेड कर रहा हूँ, ऑरेंज या फिर कुछ और ही बन जाए, ठीक है? सो यूज दिस मेथड ऑफ कलरिंग. इफ यू हैव टू कलर, डोंट ट्राई टू फिल इट अप. Don't try to fill it up, ठीक है? Use strokes of hatching, basically diagonal lines. चाहे जो भी आपको कलर करना है, you do that with the choice of your color. If there is a color वाला question, because there are questions जिसमें जैसे कि last year there was a scenario वाला scene drawing वाला question जिसमें you were not supposed to draw. Sorry, you were not supposed to color. It was supposed to be just black and white. Right, where वहाँ पे आपका पेड़ होना जरूरी है. So in a question like that, that's great. But usually जैसे 4 क्वेश्चन है तो 2 क्वेश्चन या at least 2 क्वेश्चन तो coloring का आते हैं. So coloring, but don't obsess over filling. Try to give an idea with the hatching technique, like diagonal lines, and fill that up, and you will see that looks actually interesting. You can fill it up also. थोड़ा shade भी दे सकते हो. But for those who are थोड़ा सा uncomfortable with coloring, and I know mostly who were focused in UCED or NIV, they come up with this coloring क्या करें? It's not a big deal. Just choose the right color and have a very clean finish. Do not try to make it dirty. That cleanliness is very important. Okay, so don't worry about coloring so much, but yeah, right color and making sure that your strokes, the colors are visible, right? That is very important. So this is just a technique. Baki, I have seen where they are filling it up, and things, but the finish is very nice. So you go with that also, that is also fine. It's just a personal tip of mine because the chances of you messing up or things getting dirty is techniques as well come where you are coloring but using hatching technique. Okay, but don't stress about coloring so much. Anyway, okay, so this was for one of the type of your process drawing, step drawing is called getting. It's maybe apply the fundamental of your storyboarding which we discussed. Okay, now I'm going to move forward, and yeah, coloring guys, don't worry about it. आपको क्वेश्चन में ही कह देंगे कलर करना है, कलर नहीं करना है. So don't worry about it. कलर करना है इसमें, don't worry about it. क्वेश्चन में वो कह देंगे कलर कीजिए, ऐसे कलर मत कीजिए, ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट कीजिए, ठीक है? So don't worry about that part. All right, so this was प्रोसेस ड्राइंग, स्टेप ड्राइंग। नाउ इसी में आपका एक और टाइप का आता है जिसमें कि यू डोंट हैव मच स्कोप ऑफ डूइंग जूम इन जूम आउट और डायनामिक फ्रेमिंग, ठीक है, एंड दैट इज बेसिकली वी विल टेक एन एग्जांपल फॉर दैट काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन। जैसे कि लास्ट ईयर आपका क्वेश्चन था, उससे भी पहले क्वेश्चन आए थे उस तरीके से, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल ड्राइंग ऑफ क्लॉथ, उसमें क्या करोगे आप, जूम इन जूम आउट सारा कर सकते हो, बट आई सजेस्ट यू नॉट टू कीप इट सिंपल, बट वहां पे कुछ और टेक्निक आने लग जाता है। या फिर रॉटनिंग ऑफ एन एप्पल, जो कि लास्ट ईयर का क्वेश्चन है, राइट। सो there the scope of dynamic framing goes down a little bit, okay, and what we do is we talk about, like, let's, I mean, ये मैंने दिखाया है मेरे students को बताऊंगा, but I'm gonna just, it's not a very complex topic, just I'm gonna quickly wrap it up. जैसे कि आपको दिखाना है rotting of an apple, ठीक है, so you, and in this question जो कि last year आया था, you were supposed to use color and you have to show in 4 steps an apple getting spoiled, okay. So in this case you will start with a fresh piece of apple, and guys, yes, you were supposed to use color, है ना, coloring से दिखाना है, you are supposed to use color, but the thing is it's not just a question of color, it's also a question of texture, okay. Texture is one of the fundamentals of design, and drawing में हम texture दिखाते हैं simply lines, like मतलब अगर ये line देखिए, straight, clean, not so clean, squiggly, the vibe, the feel, the vibe of both the lines are different. So that's how we communicate texture one ways in our drawing. So you will definitely start with a fresh apple, but another thing to keep in mind is just अगर ठीक है rotting of apple दिखाना है, but आप सिर्फ apple बना रहे हो, again you are not supposed to make your composition boring, interesting composition, so at least keep it in a table, on a table, at the very least on a table, रख दिया, ठीक है, all right. So just keep this thing, little things in mind. Yes, this is the main primary focus, but you know you are keeping it in some space, not just in some any random hawa mein nahi, in some, you know, solid space. Here the space being an idea of a table, taking a very little detail, but it adds to the presentation. Coloring ka dusra tip I can give you guys is follow the form. Coloring, अब देखो apple का form कैसा है, you know, it's like that round form, so don't go on and, you know, color it like that. इसको भरने का नहीं है ऐसे करके ये, don't do that, maybe for highlighting and all that, but we will not use this particular thing. Coloring for an apple or anything, one tip is follow the form. That's, you can use it for shading, इससे पहले भी जो मैंने बताया आपको, right, follow the form, तो उससे क्या होगा देखिए, यहाँ पर मैं सिर्फ मार्कर यूज कर रहा हूँ, but slowly you will see a 3Dness is coming out of my apple. Try कीजिएगा कि मार्कर से शेडिंग करना, it's not an easy job, guys, not good, but regardless, one thing I'm doing is I'm showing this 3Dness just by using the lines. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to do the same thing but using color. Okay, so the way to color is not just filling it up, but जो आप form है उस apple का, उसको उसके हिसाब से आप coloring करो. So that way also your shade, your shading will come out good. Guys, Please take care of your phone here. Mute कीजिए. Who's that? कौन पंजाबी गाने सुन रहे हो? अभी सेशन के बाद अच्छे से बजाना है, अभी मत बजाओ. अभी म्यूट करके रखिए प्लीज. ओके, ऑलराइट. तो ठीक है, अभी मैं आपको क्या कह रहा था, बी इन दिस टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन टेक्सचर. ठीक है, सो क्या करेंगे हम अभी यहाँ पे तो हमने फ्रेश एप्पल खा दिया, अब इसी को सड़ाना है, तो थोड़ा सा वही सिलवेट ले लेंगे एप्पल का. बट नाउ the same thing is continuing में थोड़ा सा फ्रेम को चेंज कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे क्या किया था मैंने, स्ट्रेट लाइन का आपको दिख रहा है, न्यूरल लाइन का आपको दिख रहा है, इसका आपको देखो हर एक लाइन क्वालिटी, स्विगली लाइन, स्क्रिबली लाइन, इसका क्वालिटी और इसका क्वालिटी डिफरेंट. तो वही चीज हम यहाँ पे अप्लाई करें. You don't have to really, it's ठीक है, कलरिंग से भी आपको दिखाना है. The red, the fresh bright red will slowly turn, थोड़ा सा brown mix होता जाएगा, maroonish हो जाएगा, and then it will finally get rotten. But so that that rotting surface, to communicate that it's not just about using the right color, even the form. And form में कुछ ज्यादा नहीं कर रहा हूँ, देखो मैं कलर भी यूज नहीं कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, जो कि आपको करना था लास्ट डे के पेपर में. I'm changing the quality of the line. Just by doing that, you can see the difference, right? So this is basically how we play with texture, right? That's another topic as well, right? Showing surface, different surface, wooden surface, glass surface, brick surface. So it's all the play of texture. Yes, there is a technique of coloring. You will have to keep in mind that you're using the right color, right? But that's not everything. The right color is not everything. You are also supposed to be using the right lines. So take a minute. This is not exactly the second step. This will be maybe third step because I have to. But you're getting it. What is happening? Right? So isko aur sarana, to maybe I'll make it more. 1, 2. I'll take it forward. I'll take the impression forward. Maybe I'll take even this, the stick, yeah, a little detail. Then यहाँ से भी इसको और ज़्यादा सड़ा दूँगे. So let's say stick is about to fall off, and my apple is almost ये तो अभी किशमिश बनने जा रहा है. But yeah. So use this technique. If a question like this, आप देखो यहाँ पे कोई dynamic framing नहीं. It's just a plain, straightforward. You are just going ahead with showing what it is, rotting of an apple. So yes, coloring will be there. यहाँ पे fresh, bright red, a bit of orange, a bit of yellow. Not so much of yellow, but mostly red. And that will slowly turn into maroon, red. Basically, you will be adding a bit of brown in it here, more, and so on and so forth. Okay, so remember, just understand this texture you can show by just playing with the line quality, right? Just by using the line quality, you are changing the texture, the form of the apple. Yeah, everybody clear with this one? So this is a very different kind of process or step drawing, but also very important. Yeah, all clear, guys?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
all right. ठीक है,
Yes, sir.
this चलो पढ़िए जी, ठीक है। तो हम आगे बढ़ते हैं अभी इसके। Before I move ahead, I hope you guys are working on that fly thing. हाँ, I hope आपके पास कुछ एक story होगा आपके पास। You are a fly का, yeah. It's not just about you looking at this particular presentation which I'm giving. You should be, exercising also a little bit. If you guys have your story ready, four sentence, right? Just first में लेके मुझे ड्रॉ करके भी नहीं देखा ना, मुझे बस थोड़ा देखना है कि क्या सोचा होगा आपने। तो अगर जैसे आपका स्टोरी है आपके दिमाग में आ जाए, ठीक है, यू आर अ फ्लाई का 4 फ्रेम्स में, तो 4 सेंटेंस हर एक फ्रेम में क्या क्या होगा, जस्ट if you guys can put in the chat, it will be very cool for everyone, right? It will be more interactive in that way. Okay, so just make sure you guys do that. You guys can do that from this time onwards, as I'll be talking about other topics as well. All right, so these are the 4 आपके story से related, ठीक है? Now there is one more category of your in your CAT paper for Nift, which comes under your communication design, ठीक है? So communication design basically जो आपकी graphic design होते हैं उसको आप communication design कहते हैं, है ना? So the communication design से related whatever that you will be making, ठीक है, चाहे वो आपका पोस्टर हो, चाहे वो आपका स्टैम्प हो, चाहे वो आपका कवर डिजाइन हो, ठीक है। आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट अ वेरी फंडामेंटल थिंग जो कि आप आपके डिजाइन में अप्लाई कर सकते हो। ओके, इट्स नॉट अबाउट देखो रटना नहीं है यहाँ पे कि पोस्टर ऐसा ही होता है तो ऐसा ही होगा, मैगजीन कवर ऐसे होता है तो ऐसा ही होगा। इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट, इट्स नॉट अबाउट रटोफाइंग जो कि आप लोगों ने स्कूल में किया होगा काफी। इट्स अबाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग द फंडामेंटल एंड यूजिंग दैट, उस चीज को यूज करके। मतलब रेड कलर का मीनिंग I'm pretty sure सबको पता है, इट मीन्स डेंजर, राइट? और क्या मीनिंग होता है रेड कलर का, बताओ क्या पता?
Energy.
एनर्जी,
Hunger.
यस, एंगर,
Alert.
Hunger.
अलर्ट, हंगर,
Power,
Rinka.
strength,
Okay, that's interesting, Wilson. Hunger,
passion,
passion, yeah,
desire.
love. Nobody said love here, huh? Anyway, so yeah, we know this basic understanding of color, right? So in our design, whatever message you guys, I'm not sure about red being hunger, but yes, it is red, warm color in total represents that hunger. But food wala hunger की बात कर रहे हो तो I will include a bit of orange there. But hunger wala मतलब hunger का meaning different हो सकता है, right? It can be like the passion कि कुछ करना है उसका hunger. So yeah, there the red can come into play. So we know these different meanings and interpretation of color, right? And knowing that, we can use it in our design, है ना? अगर आपको उस टाइप का कुछ प्रोडक्ट बनाना है, आपको आपका ड्रेस को डिजाइन कर रहे हो, वहां पे आपको एनर्जी दिखाना है, पैशन दिखाना है, so you will include red in your dress, in your design. So we understand the fundamental, like we understand the meaning of red. तो वही चीजें हमें फोकस करनी है, ठीक है? So उसी understanding से what I'm talking about here is one category of question, which is your communication, which falls under your communication design, which is basically graphic design. So all the questions, जैसे आपके पोस्टर, कवर, स्टैम्प, आपका मतलब जो और भी है, बैनर्स हैं, आपका जो और क्या क्या बुक कवर हो गया, मैगजीन कवर हो गया, all the questions related to your visual communication, you have to basically work around 2 things. One is your visual, ठीक है? One is your visual, आपको visual यूज करना है, जो भी थीम दिया है, जो भी आपसे पूछा गया है, उसके लिए आप visual यूज करें। And the other thing is you have to include,
So board का top visible नहीं है.
my bad, there's nothing for you. So I was talking about, अभी visible है?
Yes, sir.
So I was talking about जितने भी आपके कम्युनिकेशन डिजाइन के क्वेश्चन, चाहे वो आपका बैनर हो, पोस्टर हो, स्टैम्प हो, कुछ भी हो, you will have a visual which is related to your theme, to your inspiration, and you will have typography. थोड़ा सा इसमें आपका हायरार्की आ जाता है, ज्यादा उसमें मतलब लेवल्स आ जाता है, जैसे कि आपका एक मेन विजुअल होगा जो कि फ्रंट सब्जेक्ट जो कि सामने रहेगा, एंड आपका मे बी बैकग्राउंड, ये ऑप्शनल है, आपके पास मेन तो होना जरूरी है बट बैकग्राउंड इज एन ऑप्शनल। टाइपोग्राफी में भी आपके पास हेडिंग होगा, आपके पास टैगलाइन होगा, ठीक है, बट दैट इज फॉर पोस्टर। स्टैम्प के लिए हेडिंग एंड टैगलाइन कुछ और हो जाता है, सबके लिए अलग अलग हो जाता है, बट given the context of these type of questions, we will start with poster only. You have visual, ठीक है, and you have typography, and इन दोनों को आप बना के आपके composition में डालते, आपके frame में डालते। So talking about poster, so we will also explore how to, how to make a poster better. I'm pretty sure अभी तक आप लोगों ने बहुत सारे posters बनाए, बहुत सारे भी तो नहीं, मतलब there, I'm pretty sure there is no one here who has not drawn a single poster. I'm pretty sure सबने बनाया है ना guys, थोड़ा बहुत तो बनाया होगा।
Yes, sir.
तो आने वाले भी होंगे शायद यहाँ पे कोई। I'm just kidding. So yeah, I'm hoping and I believe सब लोगों ने at least एक दो पोस्टर तो बनाए ही हैं। तो in that, now what I'm going to share with you guys is how to make a poster better. Okay, so one thing is there are two ways in which you can approach your poster design. Two ways as in two types of composition. Take two types of basically placing your visual and typography. You are making a composition. It's a 2D composition, but you are combining visual and typography. Okay, so there are two ways in which you can approach it. The first one is what we call a symmetric composition. तो इसमें क्या होगा, आपका जो डिजाइन है, ठीक है, so you plan, either you can go ahead like this. I suggest अगर ज्यादा ही आपको alignment का एक understanding करना है, तो you can max to max what you can do is just have an understanding, corner to corner एक line खींच लीजिए, ठीक है, diagonal lines, having this ready here. Yeah, just a second please. All right, so see, max to max what you do is you keep this thing here, right? You're making these alignments, all right, and now you plan your you place your composition के elements, two elements जो कि मैंने बात किया, visual and typography. So you plan it out, ठीक है, like for example here, this is for, we are going with symmetric composition. Symmetric composition क्या होता है, everything center align, सबका सब जो भी है आपका सब कुछ center align होगा, ठीक है. So I'm going to keep it very simple. So let's say here is my heading, ठीक है, and I'm just planning, here is going to be my tag. So I'm planning, ठीक है, अब मेरे दिमाग में ये करने से पहले आपका जो भी टैग लाइन है, आपका जो भी हेडिंग है, आपका जो भी विजुअल है, वो सब हो जाना चाहिए फाइनल, ठीक है. And then from here, let's say I'm going to keep it very simple here. Let's say this is going to be some, by now you guys must be aware of my obsession with eyes. Anyway, so that's an eye, but I'm going to take it a little different. And let's say I'm going to make just a surrealistic visual where there is a window in the middle. This is more like a wall cracking. Okay, we have that together. Square this down. Extra detail. और यहाँ पे and then you can think of it like a movie poster. In that sense, we have this nice detail. So that's my main visual. Okay, that's my main visual. And now I'm gonna add my heading. Heading is, let's say, let's give it a title. I'm gonna just call it Windows. Windows, simple. Actually, I'll just this is random. Don't try to find any context here. There is no meaning as such. I'm going random. Anyway, so that's my heading. Let's say this is a poster for a movie, a thriller sort of a thing. So that's mine. I'm going to plan करना इसको plan मतलब मेरे positioning. And this is all, as you can see, center line. I'm going to erase these extra lines which I have. So this is just one way to go about making your composition interesting. So अगर अब मैं प्रोसेस की बात करूं आपके पोस्टर के लिए, ये सारी चीजें बनाने से पहले आप सोच लीजिए आपको जो थीम दिया है, आपको जो टॉपिक दिया है, सोच लो क्या होगा। हेडिंग हेडिंग यूजुअली दिया होता है, नहीं दिया है तो खुद का हेडिंग आप यूज कीजिए। कभी कभार हेडिंग लगाने की जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ती, आपको सिंपली आप टैगलाइन ही बस डालना होता है, राइट। सो बिफोर यू इवन गो एंड मेक योर पोस्टर, यूटिलाइज द टाइम एंड जस्ट ये चीज जो है, ये जो विजुअल है, ये एकदम फ्री स्टाइल में नहीं आना चाहिए। सोच लो पहले कि क्या होगा विजुअल, ठीक है। वंस यू डन, once you've done like ideating side में कि ये विजुअल मेरा ऐसा कुछ होगा, आँख के बीच में एक विंडो होगा, डोर होगा, जो भी है, open up will be the heading, the title of the movie, and then the tagline will be something along those lines. वो एक बार जब प्लान हो जाए, planning is very important. Plan it out, then put it out. इसी में सब कुछ एक ही बार में करना स्टार्ट करोगे तो वहां पे हौच पौच हो सकता है, मजा नहीं आएगा आपको, ठीक है। You can do this. All right. Anyway, so we have this thing going on here. Open up is the name. We have the visual. Do something interesting.
पूर्णिमा चाय बना दे।
अच्छा, मेरे लिए भी एक बना देना, पूर्णिमा से कह के। अपना ऑडियो म्यूट करो यार, that's fun. All right, so tagline. What can be the tagline? Let's see. अब tagline के लिए I'll suggest you, the thing about taglines are, or in this case, it is not going to be as bold as my heading, ठीक है। तो मेरा जो हेडिंग इसको मैं थोड़ा सा हाईलाइट कर देता हूँ ताकि पता चले आपको। All right, so that's my heading, I've highlighted it. Now for the tagline, आपने देखा यहाँ पे मैंने ना line एक खींच दिया. Why? Because I felt like it is getting too old. Heading should be the first thing I'll see. Then comes the tagline. So tagline, I mean, it can be anything. I'm just gonna write up and then a random. Oh, it's not necessary कि आप इसी तरीके से लिखो tagline, but थोड़ा बहुत alignment, before you even write it, थोड़ा सा blank space में कैसा होगा. Anyway, my point here is we have a phobia, these the lines. So it's very important that you make sure you're not ज़्यादा दबा के नहीं लिख रहे हो. You make sure that you're not using 6B for drawing. Anything above 3B is no, right? You're using HB pencils, right? So that's your, tagline. Now, maybe if comes the point, क्योंकि यहाँ पे मैंने background की भी बात की, right? So background में you're just adding a little bit of pattern, some texture, complementing your design. Are you guys getting it? Is everybody with me here? Yeah, इस हो गए सब लोग?
Yes, sir.
हाँ बोल रहा हूँ अभी बच्ची को धीरे धीरे चाय के लेके आने के लिए. But I feel like my throat is dry. I'm just kidding. So yeah, see, this is one way to go about it, and I will suggest you guys to go with if you are not, very composition wala person. So this is the best bet. It looks sorted. Okay, there is no complexity. Everything is symmetric. So center align बना दो, tension खत्म. Because वो alignment क्या होता है कि text थोड़ा इधर जा रहा है, visual इधर पता नहीं कहीं जा रहा है, ये इधर जा रहा है. ऐसे में it doesn't look good, right? So just keep that thing in mind. All right, when you're making a poster, if composition पे आपको ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं, keep it symmetric. That's good to go. All right, ठीक है. Now that being said, the second way to go about this kind of composition is ये तो आपको symmetric, everything center aligned. ठीक है. In the second type is basically asymmetric. So asymmetric से मतलब कि आपका जो है, it is still balanced, but now everything is not center aligned. It is going to be here. Let's say a visual, one of my visual is going to be so that's like okay, visual side. तो क्या करेंगे हम इसमें हम कैसे कर रहे हैं? We are playing side by side. मतलब यहाँ पे मैंने डाला visual एक side में. So I have to make sure to balance it out. I will add my typography on this side. Everybody is following me here. This is for the asymmetric. This was center line. This is side. तो यहाँ पे फिर मेरा एक my typography will be on this side. I will write across a plane. I'll just mention it. So what do you see here? We have our text, typography and visual side by side. Catching it, everyone, guys?
Yes, sir.
So this is your asymmetric composition. Okay, you can add other details, you can add a background, right? I'm gonna do background like this. Right, so we are just now, so this is our visual, our typography and background. So this is side by side. So these are the two approaches. I feel like this is very good, a symmetric one. It's not very complex to think or plan. You just have to center around it. With this, a little bit of planning is required. But if you find this to be appropriate, उस moment में कि आपको asymmetric दिखाना है, you can go ahead with that. So any kind of communication design related question, you have your visual and you have your typography. ठीक है? All right. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I just have one story here. That's sad. Nobody else thought of you are a fish. Okay, so what is it? Shubham Giri. First of all, Shubham, good work to even attempt. Yeah. Out of all so many students there, only you have sent me. All right. Fly was flying. Strong wind blows and the fly fall on the ground and caught nature. Man was passing by from there, and by good luck, fly was saved from being pressed by shoots. Interesting. Yes, yes. This is good, Subham. Very crisp, very straightforward. कुछ ज़्यादा drama नहीं, but yes, enough dramatic, enough everything here. Good work. All right. Come on, guys. और किसी ने नहीं किया है? हल्का सा टाइम भी नहीं किया है. Subham, you make sure you attempt this. ठीक है? You try to visualize it. I mean, by story, by word, it seems very good. Okay. So make sure you go about it. All right, guys. Based on whatever we discussed, guys, abhi tak, including the last one which we talked about, if there is any doubt, any question, anything you guys have, please
सर
go ahead. हाँ जी.
पोस्टर में सिर्फ टैगलाइन और हेडिंग चाहिए और बैनर में वेन्यू प्लेस टाइम ये सब मेंशन करना चाहिए ना.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी. तो पोस्टर देखो, आप इसको देखिए, बैनर इज मोर डिटेल्ड. ठीक है, बैनर इज लाइक ओके, थोड़ा सा देखते हैं, उसको पढ़ते हैं. ठीक है, it's like a broadcast, not exactly news, but it's like broadcasting about something and in detail. Whereas poster is more it's more an advertisement. It is an advertisement. So it needs to be like, मतलब देख के visual पे ऐसा हो कि पकड़ ले attention. ठीक है, and tagline भी ऐसा हो कि that's why we have tagline in poster, right? It is to grab the attention, to make it fun, and then heading also in that way, right? So banner, yes, you will have your details, extra details, whereas in poster you will have your tagline, heading, and visual, or sometimes just tagline. Okay, book cover. So see, same thing, same principle, right? Same principle is happening here, but now what we're going to do is one extra thing which you have to add is, बताइए क्या होता है आपके book cover में? You have your author's name. So you will obviously you will not just write it in however style, but book cover में क्या हो जाता है आपका? Same thing, everything is the same. This can be a book cover, this can be a book cover, but in this case what I'm doing is I'm adding, थोड़ा सा मैं spacing कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, and here will be the name of my author. Okay. So you just add the author's name, and that gives you book cover. I mean, it needs to be a bit more symmetric, try to make it a bit more aligned. I'm sorry if I'm messing up Agarwal with spelling. But yeah, so that's book cover for you. Everything is the same. You have the name of the book. In this case, it's Horizon. You have the visual for the book. Maybe you will have something, some tagline for the book, and then maybe you can add a little bit. You can add is, let's say, you have a publisher of some mark of the publishing house, right? And then maybe you can also add key. Okay, this was New York Times bestseller का एक banner मतलब एक छोटा सा #1 seller something. But apart from this, not necessary. Main is, same thing how we will do a poster in the book cover. But the addition of author's name is very important. Take it? Yeah? All clear? Come on, guys, bring in your
Yes.
questions. Okay.
Sir, what color scheme should we go for posters or book covers?
See, in that case, I will suggest you to go with triads. So triads are what? Triads are a color scheme which, if combined together, it's basically combination of 3 colors. When you combine triads together, they give a very balanced composition. Triads are, जैसे आपका जो color wheel होता है, first triad, which we all should know, regardless, is your primary color triad. What are the primary colors?
Red, yellow, and blue.
Yes, so that's a triad. That's a combination of 3 colors, and that's a hack which I can tell you. कहीं पे भी ये 3 color को combine करो या फिर इनकी shades को, it looks balanced. So depending on your theme, right, you pick a color and then you choose the triad for it. Triad ka, to choose triad, you will have to have an understanding. You should be knowing color wheel. अगर नहीं पता है तो please, just you can Google it, you can find it. It's not very hard to find. So red. So यहाँ पे मैं yellow बनाता हूँ. So you have your yellow, red. That's your first triad. When you mix yellow and red, you get what? Tell me, guys. Come on, rapid fire.
Orange.
Yes. When we mix blue and red, what we get?
Purple.
Yes.
Magenta.
Purple, not magenta. That's purple and red. Anyway, blue and yellow, what do we get?
Green.
Yes, very good. Sabash. So now that's our second triad. First triad is the triad of your primary color. Second triad is the triad of your secondary colors. Okay, which is orange, purple, and green. You mix these 3 alag se, you will get a composition which will be interesting to look at. So how you choose color? How you choose color combination is by choosing a color scheme. And in this case, the easiest one is triad. Now, when you mix primary and secondary, you get tertiary colors. So yellow and orange से बनेगा आपका sap. Red and orange से बनेगा आपका burnt orange. ठीक है? Red and purple से बनेगा आपका, अभी किसी ने कहा था मुझे?
Magenta.
Yes. Purple and blue से बनेगा आपका violet. Violet has more blue in it, and purple has, like, it's in the middle. ठीक है? इसको हम indigo भी बोलते हैं, not exactly blue, but yeah. So blue and purple. So basically, the way to find triad, यहाँ पे हमारे पास, the way to find triad is color wheel में आपके पास ये 3 कैटेगरीज होते हैं. ठीक है? आपके प्राइमरी कलर्स होता है, आपके सेकेंडरी कलर्स होता है, आपके टर्शरी कलर्स होते हैं, राइट? सो प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी तो आपको मिल गया, आपको पता भी है, बट बाकी कॉम्बिनेशंस भी मिलते हैं, बाकी ट्रायड से मिलते हैं. सो इसके लिए आपको कलर व्हील सामने होना चाहिए, या तो फिर आप क्विकली when you reach the examination hall you can draw the color wheel. Cheating मत कीजिएगा, but या फिर you can just make the color wheel right now. It's very easy to go step by step. Write the primary colors, then write the secondary color in the middle of it, right? Then उनके primary and secondary color के बीच में you will have your tertiary colors. So basically triad जो combination है, वहाँ पे उनके बीच में 3 कलर्स का गैप होता है. Okay. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल यू हैव, जैसे कि अभी हम लोग प्राइमरी कलर के कॉम्बिनेशन रेड की बात कर रहे हैं, तो इनके बीच में कितना कलर का डिफरेंस है? 1, रेड ऑरेंज टर्शरी, 1 2 3, then yellow, then 1 2 3, then blue, then blue 1 2 3. This is the triad. This is what we call triad, and combining them gives us a very balanced composition. Now, to find your own triad, you can choose any random. Let's say I'm choosing saffron, which is yellow orange. Count easy. 1 2 3, right? So that will be green plus blue combination, which is turquoise. So we have saffron, turquoise, and then 1 2 3. Then what is this? Magenta, right? So we have saffron, turquoise, and magenta combination. So based on the theme, you can choose these combination for your poster. If you're not going with a very realistic poster, जैसे मैंने आपने अगर कुछ realistic बनाया तो obviously we will try to make it a realistic color combination. But if you're going with something which is more expressive, a little abstract, a little surreal, like the two combinations here, like the two visuals here which I've made here, so you can go with these kind of combination. You can use triad, you can use complementary colors. ठीक है, थोड़ा बहुत तो combination आपको पता होना चाहिए. Alright, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, how to go about it. Use these combination. आपको सोचना नहीं पड़ेगा. ठीक है, it will look balanced and harmonious. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Tips for time management or approach to attempt the paper. Okay, so very important question on which I think we can even end our session here is how to go about how to approach it. Now, इससे पहले मैंने आपको mindset के बारे में बात किया था, right? Now, the third point which I've made, like have a very positive attitude and take care of your health and return your mind is very important. Now, when you guys will be there on, giving the cat portion, make sure you are not reading too much between the lines. As in, आपने पढ़ा question and then बस आप, you were just like stuck there. Maybe something unusual or maybe a word they mentioned there जो कि थोड़ा सा आपके vocabulary से out of scope हो गया. Don't worry about it. You can ask the invigilator. जितने लोगों ने नहीं दिया, you guys know that थोड़ा बहुत तो they do help, right? But do not get stuck. By that I mean, make sure your hands are moving. Make sure you're utilizing the rough section. So see, this is how you go about it. As you are reading through the question, okay, and what naturally happens based on my experience and what I've heard from my student also, as you're going through the question, as you're reading it, आपके दिमाग में कोई ना कोई visual definitely आएगा. Like आपने पढ़ा कि आपको पोस्टर बनाना है इस टॉपिक पे, कुछ ना कुछ definitely आएगा. So जैसे वो आता है आइडिया, रफली बनाओ और आगे बढ़ते जाओ. ठीक है, रफली बनाओ और आगे बढ़ते जाओ. लाइक डू नॉट डिस्कार्ड इट. अगर नहीं आ रहा है कोई बात नहीं, एक बार तो पूरा क्वेश्चन आपको पढ़ लेना चाहिए. बट अगर आपके दिमाग में उसका आंसर आ रहा है, एक विजुअल आ रहा है, तो एक हल्का सा एक पिक्टोग्राम, लाइक छोटा सा, ऑन अ रफ सेक्शन यू जस्ट मेक इट. डोंट डिस्कार्ड योर आइडियाज. That is a very bad practice. It will block your creativity. So if something is coming out, let it out. Obviously, आप पूरा refined तरीके से नहीं करोगे, but let it out and you move on to reading other parts of the question. So that's my first step. Do not stop your ideas. Let it out. जैसे मैंने आपको कहा, first point जो मैंने आपको mention किया था, ideas are overrated. Don't try to be unique. Right? Don't try to even copy. Improvise. So improvise तभी होगा जब आप अपने ideas पे believe करोगे. A lot of interviews are there and they talk about how do not draw the first thing which comes in your mind. And I think ideas आ रहे हैं, मुश्किल से आ रहे हैं. ऊपर से that you're saying कि do not draw the first idea which comes in your mind. I say that is BS. Do not do that. ठीक है, ideas आया, Make it and then move on to the next question. कुछ आया ठीक है बना दो, नहीं आया ठीक है read करो. Once you're done reading the 4 questions, the 3 questions or the 5 questions, जितने भी हैं आपके, then you go back and read the question again and understand it. And when you will be reading it again, more ideas will come. So first step is do not stop your ideas from flowing in the exam. Second is read the question carefully, understand it. That's the key factor. Understand what is the question asking. Okay, make sure you understand. अब एक दो वर्ड अगर आपके वोकैबुलरी से ऊपर जा रहा है तो यू कैन आस्क दैट एक दो वर्ड का मीनिंग इन्विजिलेटर, उतना तो दे विल नॉट say no to, definitely. Third is make sure the work is clean. Do not वो गंदगी मत करना वहां पे. Make sure you have your stationeries ready one day before. 2-3 पेंसिल, भले आपके पास क्लिक पेंसिल हो, 2-3 पेंसिल शार्पन करके भी रख लेना अपने पास. ठीक है, always have that thing, like 2-3 पेंसिल शार्पन करके it's ready, it's kept there with you. Alright, भले आपके पास क्लिक पेंसिल हो. And blunt pencil please do not use it. Blunt जैसे हो रहा है, so 2-3 पेंसिल्स रखिएगा अपने पास, because line quality really makes and breaks your composition, the presentation part. It's very important. Clean is very important. आपका drawing, if you think it's not the best, that's fine. This is not a drawing test, it's a design test. So believe in your style or believe in your ideas and composition, but don't get obsessed or upset about your, maybe आपको ये उंगली बनाने के लिए नहीं आ रहा है, maybe आपको जूते का बेस बनाने के लिए नहीं आ रहा है. That's fine. Those are little things. Right? Certain drawing level होना चाहिए. Pretty sure आप लोग पे है, but like I said, it's not a drawing test, it's a design test. Drawing is a tool which you guys need to show your ideas. तो हाथ बना रहे हो तो हाथ ही नहीं लगना चाहिए, इतना का ध्यान रखिएगा ताकि you guys are good to go. ठीक है? All right. So that's a few bits from my end. I wish you guys all the best. ठीक है? Make sure whatever we discussed here, I think ये recording भी available होगा. You go through it again with your work. You are a fly. एक ही का मुझे आंसर है. That's quite sad, but regardless, उसको attempt कीजिएगा. And make sure you guys, remember whatever the few tips and tricks I shared with you guys. Make sure you guys follow that. It will be, and the paper will be fine. It's not going to be too out of the box sort of a thing. Just, it's like you having a peace of mind is very important. All right, because stress mein wo creativity nahi aayega, it will get blocked. All right, so make sure you guys do all of that, and my best wishes to all of you. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for your valuable
Thank you,
time.
ma'am. All
Okay,
right.
so students, we will connect again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Right?
Okay, ma'am.
That portion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Soon you all will get a link, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you and bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.